everybody, to episode 105 of the Destiny Digest podcast. Thank you all for coming and hanging out. It means a lot, seeing a lot of you in chat. You can join us live every Sunday night around 3:30 p.m. Pacific and 6:30 p.m. Eastern on twitch.tv/Destiny Digest. And you can ask questions live in chat and help us shape the conversation. Episodes go live the next day on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Pocket Casts. And you can help others find the show by rating and reviewing the show on your podcast platform of choice. Tonight, we have with us a full panel for you. Minus, we do not have Bonna and we do not have Sammy Cat this week. But tonight we have Epic Dan.
Hello.
We have Tiddly.
Hello, or should I say welco to everybody?
Welco, everyone.
Welco!
Welco. We have Eseipha.
Hi.
And we have special guest, Revenant. Revenant, thank you so much for joining us tonight. How are you doing?
I forgot to follow.
That's okay. It's perfectly fine. Revenant D2, thank you so much for following the Twitch channel. It means a lot.
Don't call me out like that, bro. What the fuck?
Welcome to you. Welcome to you. So we're so how was everybody's week in gaming? What all did you guys do? Rev, let's start with you, bud.
Okay, so I've been mostly doing Overwatch for the last couple of months, to be honest. Let alone the weekend. I rarely get on D2. They've got a new mode called Stadium, and it allows you to expand upon your favorite heroes, or at least the ones they've added at the very least, to do some crazy stuff. I hit the equivalent of top 500 in it last season. New season started this week, and I am already within touching distance of top 500 again. And this time I plan to go higher.
Okay.
Because there's actually a rank above it.
Cool. Are there any characters that you're currently using?
Yeah, so I'm using Juno, who is good at all comps. I'm able to adapt her kit to be extremely mobile, which is thoroughly annoying to everybody else who plays against it. I know it also flexes Kiriko. Should somebody else take it, because what's the point of being a one trick if you have nothing to flex to? You're kind of dead weight at that point.
Right.
True.
So she's my flex character, and currently working out a build on her as I play.
Okay. Cool. Let's see here. Epic Dan, what about you, sir?
This week I did a little bit of a variety besides just doing more helps with the ultimatum stuff. Took some time to play finally Doom the Dark Ages. I was a bit late on that, but that was a fantastic experience. And I know I talked about it a few weeks ago. And it ended up actually not being that hard. I know I talked about how after playing Doom Eternal, how insanely difficult it was. I feel like now that I've played all the way through Doom the Dark Ages, that they added a new mechanic, because every game right now is adding them the parry mechanic, where you can parry all the enemies and all that. And the entire gameplay was kind of built around any incoming damage could be parried, and then when you parried, you have like all these other effects that would happen, whether it be like shocking enemies, chaining enemies, or just healing you, fire, all that stuff. So I feel like I'm pretty decent at parrying in games, so that kind of made this significantly easier. And I think from what I remember, it was a longer game than Doom Eternal, but it took me like about 11 or 12 less hours to beat it. So that was pretty good, at least for me looking back. I was very worried about this game, especially playing it on pretty much the hardest difficulty, not including the difficulty where once you die, you have to start the entire game over.
Right.
I would never get that one done. I will say that. I'm not that good at those type of games. But that was a ton of fun. I would highly recommend it. And then I got a chance to play through South of Midnight, which came out a few months ago. And if you're ever interested in like folklore, anything with the Deep South, and a lot of the history with that, whether it be like from Louisiana to Mississippi, Alabama, and Georgia. That's a really, really good game. If you're even remotely interested, highly recommend it. That one's a shorter game. Only took me about 10 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And I know I say that, and everyone's like, well, you stream 1 billion hours. That's nothing, but it's still a very complete experience.
That's true.
That I was able to get done in one stream
so
session.
fun.
That was very, very good. So outside of those two games, it's just been just Destiny. But those are two games that I would highly recommend. Pretty sure they're both on Game Pass as well.
Mm-hmm.
Check it out.
I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, both of them are owned by Microsoft at this point, right? Like both studios.
That's true. Yeah, Bethesda and Compulsion Games. Yeah.
So South of Midnight looked cool. I was able to raid into you the other night while you were playing that, and that was like the animation style has always struck me because it's like got that like stop motion.
It is
look to
absolutely
it.
stop motion. Yeah. And I love stop motion game, like just stop motion in general. Like Fantastic Mr. Fox is like one of my favorite movies. So that alone was like, okay, that's really interesting. Coraline, Nightmare, Before Christmas, all those kind of movies. Yeah. So like all those kind of movies, and that art style is really cool. And I know some people might not see that and be interested, but I would say do yourself a favor and at least try it out before you judge it.
Heck yeah. Tiddly, what about you, bud?
So I had a busy week. Been doing some Fortnite with friends. We did get the new season umbrella, which is very exciting.
Fun.
And we did Marvel Rivals on Tuesday. Wednesday we did Marvel Rivals. That is kind of dead right now. Like it was taking a long time for queues. I think I talked about that last week. So, but I feel like we limited our group size to 4, and that helped us find some comp games. And so that ended up being really fun. And then on Thursday, I played Overwatch with Rev. I'm not quite top 500, but I think we didn't drop a game, right, Rev? I feel like we won every one we played. Like it was actually a really good session. Oh no. That was last week. This week we dropped like 2 games, but we still had a really good day. So that was really fun.
Yeah, start the season is always kind of fun for it.
Yeah. People are saying that it's the games are a little bit harder right now in Overwatch Stadium, and they were a little bit harder, but than last week. We didn't win every single game, but it was still pretty chill.
Yeah.
And fun. And then like Dan, I've been doing some like ultimatum cleanup just for friends, like helping people out. We finally got my husband's done, which is a weight off my shoulders. I'm like, thank God I don't have to worry about that anymore. So he's going to get his title, which makes me really happy. So I'm going to be doing some more helps on that this week, probably.
Yeah.
And last Friday, I did get Dual Witness completed, which is huge. It's the hardest load man I've ever done. As somebody who's new to low mans, like it took us like 5 or 6 like stream sessions to get it done over the we took breaks. Like it's been a long time coming. So I'm like super proud of that. And I'm like, and so Bergen was like, oh yeah, you want to do duo orcs next Friday? And I'm like, okay, why not? And so we did some attempts this past Friday, got to final stand and wipes. So we're going to be getting back at that next week. So yeah. So Destiny stuff also. Yeah.
Nicely done. Congratulations on getting that duo done.
No, that felt really good. Actually, honestly, I love the mechanic. I don't know, maybe that's weird, but I feel like the mechanic in Salvation's on the Boss is so fun. So I actually kind of got to this mentality because we'd been running it we probably ran maybe like 15 hours of practice on it. Like that's how long it took to clear it. And so I just got to this mentality at a certain point where I was like, we're just running it, we're just, and I wasn't like focused on the clear. I was focusing on execution, and then we cleared. I was like, wait, I wasn't focused. I don't know what to do with finishing. Cause I'm just like in like the zone where we're just executing it, I don't know.
It's such a nice feeling.
Yeah. It feels really good to finish
the flow state.
It is the flow state. It is. It absolutely 100%.
Because there's probably times where you and Bergen probably aren't even really talking. You're just doing your rolls.
Oh,
Just kind
you
of
know,
flowing in and out.
sometimes, but I find that when I'm really locked in, I do the opposite. I like treat it like
Really?
PvP and I calm everything. And I talk
I
about
do that as
everything that
well.
I'm doing.
Yeah.
Like, and it was so funny because I watched back the clear, and on the clear, you know how you have the subjugator spawn. I got knocked off the map, off the backside of the map by the
Oh.
subjugator
Ooh.
on an arc titan with no sword,
Oh man.
Oh.
and I barely made it back. I didn't use I barely made it back though. I was like, you don't want to see what just happened, Bergen. And I'm just gonna keep going. But I didn't die. I didn't die on the clear. It was kind of
Yeah, that's all that
crazy.
matters.
Yeah. I think Bergen died early, and I think when you die early, it kind of affects your mental because you're like, oh shit, we have a
Yeah.
death.
Yeah.
And then but that was our clear. Like sometimes like you have an early death and you're just like keep going and it works out.
And
So
that's when one. Mhm.
yeah.
Heck
Anyway,
yeah.
it was really fun. I know I'm not the best at it, but I do enjoy doing romance.
Dual
It's very
witness is
fun.
hard. Anyone that can clear that is
Mhm.
goated.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. It was a fun challenge. Like it really was. It felt satisfying to finish it. I feel like that's how Sammy probably feels when she gets her clears because she
Mhm.
invests so much time in it. And then when you finally get it, you get that dopamine, and it's just incredibly satisfying
rush.
to have that happen. Yeah, absolutely.
Heck yeah. Well, my week in gaming wasn't as exciting. I finally got to the finale of Act 1 in Clear Obscure, which I'm not going to spoil anything here, but it was wild.
So wild.
I didn't even realize that I was creeping up toward the end of Act 1. And I had heard that like some things were crazy. It hadn't been spoiled for me yet. But I had heard that there was some things that would happen there that would kind of get your attention, and get your attention it did. I was just gobsmacked. I think it was one of the first times, most recent times in memory, that I was completely floored by what was going on the screen, and not like had no thought that would happen. So that was great.
There's really no lead up. if
No,
you really think
it just
about
kind of happens.
You have the big boss fight, obviously, but like
Yeah.
that has nothing to do with what happens after.
Yeah, it just kind of happens, and you're just stuck with
Yep.
the trauma afterward.
Oh,
So,
oh dear.
yeah,
Okay.
it's
This is sounding
They-
a little
they make you-
spoilery
they
for
make
not
you
doing
sit
the
in it.
spoiler.
They
That's
make
it.
you sit in it. I will say that.
Okay.
I've-
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
I'll just say that game is entirely about trauma. Like I don't know any other way around it. That's what it was. So I also have been playing. I've been playing FBC Firebreak the past couple weeks. That just came out. That is basically Helldivers, but set in the Control universe. And I've been having fun. I've been playing with Mod and Mr. Dunes, and it's goofy as hell. You're playing first person in the Control universe, and it's fun. That's it.
Nice.
Have you any of you guys heard about that game?
No.
I've
Okay.
heard about it. I've seen a little bit of it.
Yeah,
I just haven't had a chance to play it myself.
it's
But it does look cool.
set in Remedy's whole thing.
Yeah. I
There's
feel like that's why I didn't really. I've watched a little bit. I'm like, well, I'm not really a part. I'm not.
yeah.
I don't want to say I'm not interested, but I know we talked about this recently, but I'm just not. I think there's like one game I've played of theirs.
Mhm.
But there's so many good ones, obviously, but I just haven't had a chance to play them. So I feel like if I had played those games and then heard about it, I probably would have been like, oh, let me get on this.
Right. It's been. I think one of my favorite enemies in that is like there's a post-it note guy. There's just post-it
Post-it
note
note
people
guy?
that just run around in an office setting, and you have to wet them down before killing them.
What?
You do. You have to wet down post-it note people, and yeah.
Oh,
And when you
man.
say wet,
When I say wet, I mean wet. Just like
Okay.
Why did you add an H into
WHETTT.
that? Oh, for fuck's sake.
You want to wet them down.
You want to whet them down.
Wet.
They are
He
wet.
wants to sling his fucking
Wet.
phlegm at them by the sound of it.
Wet.
They want them super moist and
They are
wet.
wet.
So about having a lot to talk about this
Yeah.
episode.
Oh.
Not gonna get derailed at all.
No, not at all. Not at all. All right, yeah, oh my god. So yeah, we didn't have a podcast last week, and there was a lot of information that dropped over these past couple of weeks. We got 2 high-powered twits here, and we also got a dev stream on Tuesday regarding all the things that I think we already knew about Destiny 2: Edge of Fate.
Yeah.
So maybe we should start there with the dev stream. What was everybody's takeaway from it? Like, how did you feel coming out of it? Rev,
This could have been an email.
Yeah, yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Greatly disappointed, underwhelmed, anything in between. Having content creators go forth and do the promo for you, and then say you have a live stream to do said promo that has already been done for you for free, is a joke.
Yeah, it's a bit weird.
If the CCs, and I've got no qualms against any of them, if the CCs hadn't have done any content on that, that stream would have been goated. I'm sure we might have had the same questions we were having a couple of weeks ago when the CCs did it, but at least it would have been Bungie, the ones who are meant to sell you the damn product, showcasing their product.
Yeah.
90% of what we saw was
This is
already
so
known.
fun.
The only exciting thing I got out of it was there's a crossbow and I get to go play fetch with myself.
Right, yeah.
Great.
The only new information is the crossbow.
Let's
Yeah.
play
Yeah.
fetch with myself.
Yeah.
Well, did we
I
know?
get it
So
because
true, I'm so
there's a lot
sorry.
of people who don't follow content creators, so I understand them having to make sure they have their own version of the news.
Mhm.
But at least from my thinking, most people that watch that, maybe not most, but a fair amount of people that watch that stream are already somewhat invested in some form of community
Mhm.
that gathered already the information from any of the content creators that they support or follow.
Mhm.
If someone that watched that stream doesn't care about any of the streamers or journalists or YouTubers that went there, there is at least a streamer that they are connected with that probably already gathered information and walked through it with their community.
Mhm.
So I understand them having to have their own promo package for all of this, but it could have been email.
I feel like we didn't really get to see anything new. That was my biggest point. I feel like we didn't really get to see anything.
Mhm.
Like, oh, you're showing me the quote unquote training ground. I don't know what they called it. I can't remember. But like the
Firing
little space
range.
where you can.
Yeah, they
test.
showed off the firing
you.
range.
Yeah, the firing
but
range.
So
yeah.
they showed the firing range. Okay, cool. I appreciate it. Don't get me wrong. I can appreciate that. You showed some abilities. That's cool. But like, I feel like that like it wasn't anything quote unquote new. Like, I mean, the abilities were new. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
But, like, didn't really see any environment. Didn't really get any. I don't know. It felt like, oh, I'm seeing stuff that I saw already in some of the content creators' videos, and then you're telling me like, oh, you're giving me explanations about what are the new abilities and so on and so forth. And that's great. Don't get me wrong. That's great. But
Mhm.
I'll often hear them say, oh yeah, and some content creators will have guides.
Right.
Okay, cool. I'll go watch the content creators again then. Like, I just felt
you could argue
really...
the content creator that they're supporting in this way are doing more of the heavy lifting.
Exactly. Yeah, they
yeah.
are.
But you can also argue that is also really good for I hate to speak of it from a content creator standpoint, but from a content creator's
Oh,
relationship with a country, with a company.
Which one?
Oh man! This isn't the
All
right
of them.
podcast for that.
Yeah.
Different
What flag
podcast,
you got,
Dan.
bruv? What flag you waving?
It is pretty good for the content creators in that regard, and I appreciate that. But at the same time, it just felt to me it was like a little bit of an empty stream.
It's
I'm like, cool, I got my
Absolutely.
emblem. I'm happy
Yeah.
about that. But it just feels like there wasn't really anything that hype.
It was a
Or,
it was a
like-
confusing move from a strategy standpoint. Like why? Like
Yeah.
you invited everybody out to play it and to make content on it, and like
Yeah.
you didn't show them anything really from Kepler. Like it seemed like from the conversation with Scarrow, they got to play like a few missions here and there.
Yeah.
But they
But they
didn't.
also couldn't go places. Remember, you
Yeah.
said like they tried to go places and he pulled them back. Well, Bungie pulled them back to like where they wanted to show off.
Yeah. And like so they did that, and then they were like, yeah, but like all the content creators are talking about the quality of life changes, the sandbox change, like things like that. And
Yeah.
that makes a lot of sense to like have that be proliferated throughout the community by that way, because there, like you said, there is a web of community in that way, because somebody is going to watch something, and even like it's like the secondhand information that was gleaned
Yeah.
from those creators. There were creators that were making like compilations of everything, right? Of just
Yeah.
like, this is everything that we
This is
know, even though I
everything,
wasn't
yeah.
able to go,
Right.
right?
Mhm.
And we'll probably do something like that when, like, the week before
Yeah.
Edge of Fate drops, right? Like, but the confusing, like, they showed the Kepler Vidoc like right at the start, and then it was nothing about that, and it was just
It's so weird, dude.
Yeah.
It's like, why? Like, you go
I'm
in
also
thinking
willing
like, oh,
to
you'll
wait
learn
it
more.
out a couple weeks
Yeah.
to see like their entire, since we have 2 more weeks of live streams.
Oh,
I'm willing to
Right.
wait it out.
Yes.
However,
Mhm.
if
weird.
from a marketing standpoint and from a company standpoint, if that live stream was supposed to garner pre-orders or hype or excitement or whatever, it's, dare I say, lacking. You know,
Yeah.
it's like, well, okay, cool. Like, but it's a lot of stuff that they're talking about isn't really Edge of Fate product. It's more
Mhm.
sandbox product,
It's quality of
which
life.
we need. We need absolutely.
Yeah,
but
it's
it's
stuff
like,
that we're getting for free.
100%.
it's stuff we're getting for free. So if someone isn't a part of any streamer, any whatever, but and they're just a Destiny player, and they watch that, but oh, cool,
Yeah.
cool. Oh, I don't got to pay for anything. Cool. You know, it's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
well,
But to
And,
your
I'm willing to
point,
wait them
Dan,
out another week or two, but it's like, okay, we're 2 weeks out. You know, where's that train? Train's
Yeah.
late. You know.
No, but to your point, I watched a stream and I told myself, oh yeah, I need to buy the new expansion,
Mm-hmm.
and then I forgot, and I literally just bought it now, thinking like, oh god, because somebody else asked me to buy it for them because they're in EU and it's sold out in
Oh
EU,
yeah.
and they're like, oh, would you mind doing me this
Wait,
favor?
it's sold out in EU.
I didn't
The
know that.
collector's edition,
Really?
edition
Oh.
of the new
Okay, I thought
expansion
you
is
were
sold
talking about
out,
like
right?
this. Okay.
No,
How could
the
a
collector's
key get
edition is
sold
sold
out?
out. So they were like, "Oh, would you mind buying it for me?" Because he helped me get something from the UK one day, and he just shipped it to me.
Okay.
I was like, "Absolutely, you helped me out. I'll help you out." But literally, I remembered because he talked about it. Otherwise, I would have completely forgotten to even just think about buying this. And I still haven't bought the Steam code for that. And I need to do that at some point, but that's not going to run out, so it's fine. Doesn't matter.
Yeah,
But
I don't
still,
know.
it's more like, okay, like, what? I don't know.
Yeah.
It felt like a weird stream.
It was very
Just a
confusing.
bit, yeah, it was. 100%.
The stuff that we got from that though, so it was a lot that we already know. The heavy crossbow actually looks kind of cool. I also liked the look of the rocket assisted pulse rifle.
Yeah.
That looks
Yeah.
pretty neat.
Mm-hmm.
And I've loved the rocket assisted sidearms, so that's that's probably one that I'll use quite a bit. But yeah, they also talked about the seasonal bonus. Was that
Blech.
something that we knew about before?
As
Get that
far
shit
as
out of
the
it.
Oh,
tier
yeah.
bonuses,
People-
yeah.
people feel like that's a controversial decision on their
but
part.
they-
Yeah, Rev and
when
I we talked
first
about
heard
that a
it,
little
it was
bit.
a lot higher.
Yeah.
Now it's like 10% because when they
Yeah.
first got, I don't want to say leaked because the content creator showed it. It was like 15 and 15, but now it's like 10%.
It's 15% DR, 10%
Yeah.
weapon damage increase.
Yeah.
Now,
I don't
the
like
only
that.
reason why I didn't like it was contest raid. They have now since said, no, it's
You want to be in
disabled. Now.
contest, yeah.
That's
Oh,
fantastic.
okay.
Leading me on to the next seasonal thing, the XP buff. Who's got a wallet? because you're all going to be banking on that one teammate to get you that 20% extra XP. So everybody has that tier 5 artifact unlocked. I swear to God. Get that shit disabled as well. At least disable the option of buying the ranks. Please, for the love of God, do that.
They ain't doing that. Not when they can put all the whales are gonna be buying max ranks day one. That's a money maker.
They're gonna make money from that for sure.
They're gonna make bank for that.
100%.
They
yeah,
are.
absolutely. And I think in my team, I think I come out with the highest XP in terms of bounty prepping. So I have the cheapest cost efficiency of buying the ranks. So the team is gonna send me the money and I'll buy the ranks.
Just do what we were talking about last week and have the artifact unlocked for people in the raid.
Yeah.
That weekend, you know, just like completely negate the issue. The only issue with the XP is the benefit you get because the raid is coming out so quickly after the DLC comes out that people who haven't done the bounty prep don't have enough time to get everything sorted and get all the XP that they need. But if you just allow the artifact to be unlocked that weekend in the new raid content, then it negates the issue completely. And then whatever, if you buy an XP bonus after that, like yay for you.
I'm just gonna spend $50 to make sure I'm raid ready. Problem solved.
Whilst you're
I don't agree with that.
Yeah.
It would negate the issue. I think you underestimate how quickly you can level up the artifact to unlock 2 tier 5 perks. Especially if you prep beforehand. It will not take people long to do that.
Yeah, it really doesn't. I don't think I prepped at all last time, and the leveling was very, very easy. I think I got to like almost. I didn't get quite the last set unlocked, but within like a few days, I had like everything except for last column unlocked on the artifact without prepping. So
if you don't have it, you generally unlock it during contest raid, which is funny.
Yeah.
I generally get my last one in the middle of contest raid day.
Yeah, makes sense.
As long as I get one done. You're in there so long.
Yeah. Mr. Keelan in chat is saying, wait, Bungie is doing pay to win? Is that what I'm hearing?
Unintentionally, technically, yes.
Yes and no.
yeah. I mean, I feel like it definitely is pay to win, but it's also like a very minimal iteration of it. It's not like extreme, but it is like meaningful that it would have a small impact on teams going in. Yeah. So it's just to me, I'm kind of like, well, I don't know. I don't feel like it's like a team huge deal.
No, it's not. If you think a team that's going to win World's First is going to win because of buying some extra, like, no, that's anyone thinking that just needs to just cope. Or if you lose, like if you lose because you didn't spend $20 for some extra levels, come on, you weren't going to win.
No.
Yeah, you were going to win anyway.
At the end of the day, you know, the teams that are going to win are like the teams that are already practicing, that are speedrunning, that are executing. You know, that have done, you know, no, if they're like, even it's not we're not on a razor edge like we have been in, like, you know, how raids used to be for day ones, you know, where you know, if you didn't have the high enough level, then your team couldn't get a damaged number to clear. And so that actually did matter, like, you know, years ago. But I don't think we're at that point now. I think you know, it's less about preparation. It used to be about, you can grind like and get yourself really high level, and then your damage is going to be better. But now it's not as important now.
Not anymore.
Used to be, but not anymore.
Because you're gonna hear it in that Monday after. They're gonna find out someone who's like in the top 10 just, you know, didn't play and bought some levels. Like that doesn't matter, you know.
I think the armor set from the armor sets is the thing that got me most excited from the dev stream. And I know that we knew about them, but it was really fun kind of like seeing them presented on the screen. I hadn't really watched any content creators talk about them. But I love the idea in particular about like a raid armor set on a regrind. As somebody who likes helping people with raids, I feel like getting a set that has stat bonuses is going to be really fun and exciting. So I think that for me, that was like, I was like that. Oh yeah, that's going to be great. And like showing some examples of what the bonuses it could be. I thought that was all really great. I was like, oh, that's going to be so fun. This is going to make grinding armor matter.
Too. we didn't see all of the armor sets, so they have a couple more
Mhm.
coming, which is
Yeah.
Right.
those could
Yeah.
be really good. You know, I know some people have said, I'm not really crazy with these sets, but we haven't seen all of them. We've only seen like 60% of them, so I'm willing to hear them out. I'm really excited for gear sets, so anything that's gonna give me more like build crafting, I'm here for.
I love it. I love it. I think it's going to be so fun.
So fun.
Yeah.
So, yeah, from there it's like we had the dev stream. We have another one. Another dev stream is coming up on Tuesday, July 1st, where they're planning on talking about the Kepler campaign, world tiers, sandbox
get more
changes,
about that.
power progressions, the portal, guardian ranks, quality of life changes, and more. If you watch that stream on Twitch, the observer effect emblem is one that you can earn by watching. Yeah, and it like I just want to see what we're paying for the most
That's
part.
the thing.
Yeah.
That's what I was saying. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like everything that they're
Right. You
showing
want to
is
see the
free.
new content. Yeah.
So you want
Yeah.
to see like if you add like there was someone, I hate to use Twitter, but they were asked on Twitter, you know what they said, more to come. That's what they keep saying, more to come, because someone asked you, hey, are we getting a strike? Are we getting lost sectors? What am I doing on this planet?
Oh yeah.
And they were like,
Strike
wait
and
till
lost sector
Tuesday.
combo.
And I was like, ugh, I don't like hearing wait till Tuesday, because like you can't answer like, you know, more to come or something. It's just like sandbox stuff, which is cool. And I feel like we're going to keep harping on this throughout this entire podcast, but and probably for the next couple of weeks. But it's like if someone's interested in buying Edge of Fate and they're not going to do the raid, all you're kind of getting, as far as you know right now, is just a campaign, just a story.
Right.
And that's going to be a hard like pull for someone.
Yep.
Yeah. And a story
So
that's
I need Bungie to lock in.
a story that's compared to Rise of Iron, which was what, like 4-6 hours or something like
Rather
that.
than like 6 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
I
not
mean-
only the story being compared to Rise of Iron, this content expansion is being compared to Rise of Iron's size, and yet it is not hit the mark. Currently, my money is invested in the damn raid, which I'm going to get 4 days worth of content, and then I'm probably gone.
Yeah.
At the moment, I'm not seeing anything to hold me in there past day one.
Has that first
'Cause
weekend. Yep.
Yeah, because as we've already established, a lot of the systems coming in are free to play. Granted, a lot of them are going to start within Kepler, but they are absolutely going to expand it to Crucible, GMs, and eventually Gambit when they come back. They're definitely hinted at Gambit sets coming back.
Gambit.
I'm not against that.
I'm mildly excited.
I'll see you in
Okay.
2028 for the Gambit expansion.
Exactly. But are we so I haven't kind of been out of the loop, and I can't remember if I read it somewhere or not. So if somebody remembers.
Yeah.
So new expansion comes out. We're probably getting a new season with that. That's fine, whatever. But everything that is currently out with the expansion, like all the seasonal stuff from this expansion, is going away, right?
From Final Shape?
Yes.
Like the activities?
All the seasons, right? All the
Or
seasonal
like the
stuff.
Heresy
The
Echo
episode.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, all of that. That's
Yeah.
I
going away.
feel like
again,
somewhere I
right?
read that they are moving it to the portal. Some of it. I could be 100%
that's
wrong.
where
but
yeah, because that's the other part where I'm thinking like, oh, if we're losing all of that content, and then like we're saying right now, it's like, oh, what else do we have other than the raid? Like what am I gonna be playing? Because again, going back to this, like we don't have like Red War anymore. We don't have like all of these other like all really old expansions that kind of contributed to some type of playing. And then we're losing everything that's in the current expansion, all the seasonal stuff. Sorry, not the main expansion, but all the seasonal stuff. And then new season comes out. We haven't really heard about that season as far as I know. Maybe I'm wrong, but I can't remember anything that stood out to me about the season itself. So it's like, oh, then like what we're saying currently, what do we have to do? Like, what do we have to play? What content do we have to engage with? It feels very.
I'm willing to hear them on Tuesday because, you know, maybe
Yeah, I know.
they'll all answer
Again,
Tuesday,
yeah.
but it's like
But it feels
they're
very
so close. It's like,
Yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, but it feels very,
So-
very like thin It's very thin
So-
for now because that planet Kepler seems very small. From what I mean, again, we haven't seen much of
Right,
it, but from what we've
right.
seen,
Mhm.
it seems small. So I don't know. Go ahead, Red. Sorry.
No, so I can like tidy up a couple of things for you about their new seasonal yearly model if you want. So the
Yeah.
entire season lasts 6 months. First one's called Reclamation. Looking at the image of Year Prophecy.
Yeah,
as we speak.
I knew they changed it, but I couldn't remember the finer details. But yes, okay. So 6 months,
Yeah.
2 seasons
So
a year.
it's
Yeah,
it's
true.
and it's divided in two. There's a major
one gets like
update
a
on
mirrored
September
update.
9th.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yep. So
Alright,
we
that's
have
called
until
Ash and
September.
Iron,
Yeah.
and that will take us back to the Plague Lands. This
Mhm.
confirms Wrath is back. I will not hear anything about it.
I don't know about
Moving
that.
on from that. No. We're not. No. Nah.
I'll
You're
pop
letting
that
him go on,
Tolkien
please.
train,
Thank you
man.
very
Yeah.
much. Rev, keep going.
So-
Thank you.
So
I wish.
they haven't actually said that, but cope. However,
Yeah.
yes, Ash and Iron is the major update name, and we
Okay.
go back to the Plague Lands. I think that's going to be like a sub-season,
Yeah,
where
yeah.
where we'll do like a nice little detour, as it were, and then we go into season Lawless, which is the Destiny Renegades, the heavily inspired
Okay,
Star
yeah.
Wars stuff. And then we get another major update on March 3rd called Shadow and Order. And the major updates are like new and reprised activities, sandbox new events, new modifiers and challenges, new gear and artifact mods. And then the expansion is
So-
titled as Stories, Locations, Missions, Weapons, Gear, Raid, and Dungeon and Renegades.
Okay, so we're getting two seasons and two
Yep.
major updates. So one
Within
major
said
update
seasons.
per season.
Yes.
Correct.
Yeah.
That,
Right.
that,
Okay,
that,
so it's
that,
like-
that
okay.
splits
Two
it in two.
seasons. Yeah, 2 seasons.
Yeah,
And
okay, so
Mark-
it's
marks the
two
midpoint.
Every
season
three-
and then
Every 3
two
months we're getting
sub-seasons.
something, like we're getting a little
Yeah, okay.
something.
Yeah.
And
okay,
so
that's fair. That's fine.
And
And
Bife
then they're
actually
saying
has a,
that this content is not going away. Did I read that right somewhere? I was saying, like, did they say somewhere that the new content they're coming out that is coming out is not
I
going
don't
away,
know
or
about
am
the
I correct?
Unknown.
middle
That's
things.
true, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Like-
okay.
The updates, I don't know. The expansions, you're paying for the expansions. So you're going to be
Yeah,
like,
100%.
yeah, you're keeping that.
Technically, I'm paying for these updates.
Yeah, but Dan, I paid for Menagerie, and where the fuck is that?
Look, man.
Yeah, I
don't-
paid for Red War,
know.
Dan. Where's
Oh,
my Red War,
brother.
Dan?
All right, hold
Bungie
on.
can't even find the Red
Hold
War.
remember
Alright.
when we were doing the mic testing stuff?
I know.
I'm starting a letter to my senator right now.
Thank
to
you.
find out.
I appreciate that. No, but
Oh, man.
I'm
To find
kidding.
out a few
It's
other
more like-
things that they've been doing, but also to ask about this. Yeah, I don't know. Like it's kind of weird. The Ash and Iron bit, Bife has a really solid video on
Ooh, I'll
on
watch that.
the implications of everything that could be going on with that. So good.
I mean,
Um,
does that mean they're opening the full map for
we're getting the
Nah.
Plague Lands.
Cosmodrome?
We're getting the Plague
Nah.
Lands back, but yeah.
This
But it's not gonna be
Plaguelands
the
is not
full
going to be the
this-
same one. No, it's going to be a different one.
Uh-huh.
But
gonna
like,
be different.
so okay, I didn't play D1. Let's remember that. But in
Mm-hmm.
D1, from what I saw, again from what I saw, the map was like a circle, right? Cosmodrome.
Well, Plaguelands was its own part. It wasn't connected at
Yeah,
all.
it was through the giant ass wall,
Yep.
far and away from the Cosmodrome site.
What was the thing behind Devil's Lair? At the end of Devil's Lair, you had like a thing you could go through. No, am I crazy? Maybe I'm crazy.
You're
Well,
crazy.
that's not Plaguelands, no.
That was actually a mission in the Taken King where you had to go up to Cage Stash.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and what's
Where
the
you had
thing
that
in Saber where the hieroglyph or whatever they're called that used to be open in D1, right? The
It
hive
could be
thing.
open in D1.
Oh, it could be open. Okay, never
Yeah.
mind then. Moving on.
Yeah.
We don't know.
We don't know.
But yeah, it's like I'm looking forward to that. I kind of like this model because it does harken back to that Destiny 1 model for things. Something about like the seasonal bonus and like the new weapon bonus or like the new gear bonuses that we're seeing. It kind of feels a little less like Destiny seasonal and more so like Diablo seasonal almost.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, Yeah, it's definitely more of an ARPG system to sunset your build, as it were, in favor of new stuff. I am against this in Destiny because they're already trying to sunset our old stuff, and then they just want to make us try the new stuff. Where somebody gave Paul Tassi a really good example, and that was, if my tier 4 weapon is not in season and my tier 1 weapon is, it categorically does 10% more damage. It doesn't matter if the perks are like for like or different. It will do 10% more damage. Post-season, my tier 1 weapon is the same as my tier 4.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need to use my tier 4. There's no point.
Yeah.
It's free 10%. Like, why would you not want free 10%?
Yeah.
It's weird.
They're really
it's a
trying
model,
to incentivize sunsetting,
It's
and they're doing
but,
whatever
like,
they
it's
can to
not-
incentivize it. Unfortunately,
this
they
is
want to
weird because-
sunset. That if you can't tell, they want to sunset
They want
without
to, but
using the term.
it doesn't work.
without
It
using the
doesn't work
term.
for
Yes.
Destiny. Because Destiny was not made for that. Like Diablo.
Destiny
was always
wasn't
like
made.
that.
This game wasn't made to be 10 years old. Let's keep it above.
I mean, okay,
Yeah,
fair.
yeah,
That's
because
fair.
of
But
that,
also,
yeah.
they
yeah,
are
okay,
trying
but
whatever they
like-
can to do that.
yeah, but also it still is not a type of system that works in this type of game, in my opinion. Because like Diablo 3 was always like that. The whole seasonal model of Diablo was always you sunset your stuff at the end, and then new season comes out, new stuff is more powerful, and blah 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 blah. And then in Diablo 4, they did the same thing. People were a little bit weirded out. People that didn't really play Diablo 3 didn't know about it, and they were like, "What the hell?" But then they got used to it. Whatever. But it works in that model because it's quote unquote made this way. Like it was built to be this way. So and you get used to it. And if you don't like it, then whatever, right? But the game was made like that. That's the whole idea behind it. But Destiny, it's like, oh, you want us to chase weapons, we chase weapons. Oh, you give us crafting, we stop chasing weapons.
Right.
Oh, now you take back crafting, which is, I don't mind that. It's okay. Like that's fair. Like give us crafting for older weapons that are not available maybe, or whatever. You want to tweak that? That's fine. But then having to regrind weapons every season, I'm so sorry. Destiny is not made for that, in my opinion. Because first and foremost, the Vault is an issue. It's already an issue for a lot of us. It's going to be an even bigger issue with a lot of us. And even people that didn't have an issue before with the Vault will have an issue now. Like Rev is saying, then what's the point of grinding for a tier 4, tier 5 weapon if a specific season, the bullshit basic tier 1 is quote unquote better? Like
It's
you're
a
not
hard
giving us-
situation. Like this,
Yeah.
It's not
we
an
have so
incentive.
many strong guns that the only way to like incentivize most players to go after new guns is either somehow make a better gun or make those guns have additional columns. Somehow you can have like bait and switch and warp a weapon and like a
Yeah.
bunch of perks. It's like it's tough.
Yeah, I agree
So
with
it's
Dan.
like nothing's going to get solved at this point.
They have come. I think they've come to the limitations of power creep for the gear and for the weapons. I think they've come to the limit, and I don't think that people are into the game. Not just because I think there's like obviously reasons that having to do with like the conclusion of the story, but I think it's also because people are like, well, I don't have any reason to grind. I have everything I need. Everything is really powerful. Oh, there's a great new gun coming out. Well, I have like 15 things that are the same in my vault. Like they had to do something. They had to do something. Like there's just literally no way to incentivize people to play the game unless they force some kind of sunsetting to occur. I'm not saying that like what they're doing is going to work. I don't know, but I know they had to do something. I'm glad they're doing something. It gives you a reason to play the game. I do feel like it's one of these situations where there is an aspect of nuance to it because I think you can overtune it, right? I think the initial sunsetting when it happened was too strong, and that's why the community reject. It was abrupt. It was too strong. That's why the community reacted to it in that way, and rightly so, because they basically eliminated almost every single thing you could possibly
we
pull
got 20
for.
guns back from Beyond Light. That's the crazy part.
Yeah.
Right. And so I was like, well, I need a void sniper for this very specific situation. What void snipers are available? And they're like, there was one void sniper you could have gotten 2 seasons ago that's no longer in a loot pool. And I'm like, what the fuck, man? Like, I just want to play the game and I don't have the loot to play the game. And now we've swung the pendulum, right? So now I'm like, well, I've got 15 Void Snipers in my vault, and
Yeah.
they're all pretty damn good, and they're adding in more perks to them. And like, oh boy, I'm so excited to. Okay, but the problem with the sunsetting, my only qualm, and I've talked to my husband about this too, because he's been playing the game as long as I have. My only qualm is that if they make the grind too untenable, it's going to drive players away.
Yeah.
And I say that as
Yes.
somebody who likes to grind, right? So this is the tenuous situation. It's they have to make sure they're walking that
Yep.
that line where they're making it so the gear there's gear to grind, right? The stuff in your vault, there's better stuff than the stuff you have. That's the only reason people are going to grind for weapons. If they give you a new shiny that's better than anything you have, right? But if they make you have to do it constantly, then people, especially, like, I hate to say it, but like the dad gamers or like the casual gamers, when I say casual, I don't mean not committed to the game, but people who have less time to play it, they're just going to be like, well, I'm done. I just give up. This is not for
it's
me.
too much
I don't have
work.
enough time for this anymore. I'm gonna move on and do something else. And I think that's problematic because I think we've already had a lot of people in the community move on. They need to find
Yes.
a way to recapture, like,
Yep.
not just the magic of the story and like with the new characters, which I think is going to be really important for Kepler and everything like that. A new cast of characters, like some humor, like all of that, but also like a reason to grind. You know, so if they do it well, it's going to engage people. If they do it poorly, it's going to push people away. But I do think overall it is necessary.
Yep.
But what about making the grind fun? Like that's
Well, here's my
biggest-
question.
Well,
in
we also don't
response
know.
to that, because
Yeah, I know, but based on what we had recently.
how many people in the community, and this is a much bigger issue than those of us that are super engaged in this game, because Tiddly's 1000% right. If the community has kind of gotten pretty much all it, set up. We'll use this word set up, and we'll just say since Beyond Light, because this situation has been since Beyond Light. It has
Yes.
bubbled over to now, and it's going to become significantly worse in about a
Yes.
month. Because you're going to see after the honeymoon phase of the raid, of all the stuff comes out, and the only thing we have to look for is the grind. How many people are going to say, "No, I'm good," and how many people are going to say, "Ooh, I really want to grind all this stuff just to have the new version," and then, "Oh, I finally got it. Can't wait to regrind it in 6 months."
Right.
Yeah.
That entire situation is going to butt heads between creators, their community, and the devs, to the point that the devs are going to either lean one way or the other. And it's unfortunate that this expansion is when they chose to bring back the grind, as they like to call it, bring back the grind or whatever, because you don't have a loyal enough player base, or a player base that is
Used to that.
accustomed, used to that.
Right.
We're not leaning them into this kind of system. It's just, just fully changing it. And I'm willing to do it. I like grinding in games, cool, whatever. But like, I also understand that a lot of people probably don't have time for this. They don't want this game to be a second job, like a lot of people historically have called it. I was under the impression, which I guess they are as well, that this game moving forward is going to have a new direction, a new audience, and they're going to lock in on a very specific type of audience. And they have to be okay, unfortunately, with people leaving the game if this is their choice for this is our game.
Right.
This is what we're going to make.
Right.
This is our game.
Yep.
Either
And this
be
is how
with
we want to
us,
do it.
And then, it'll either be with us or not. And it's,
because
it's going to be tough.
that's kind of like what Steph was saying about Diablo, is kind of like, well, some players didn't like the way they did the seasonal content and how
And
you
they
had to
left,
start fresh, and they left. And so Bungie has to be able to say, well, tough noogies, if you don't like it, don't play the game.
Yeah.
But is not, that's not how they are, though. Like that,
we've
like
had 10 years of Pavlovian responses here.
Yes, historically,
I just don't want them to waste dev time.
Right.
Which I don't want them to waste dev time making.
I know.
Instead
I
of making new
agree.
content, just lean. Okay, well, never mind. We wasted 6 months of that. Let's change it back.
So
it's just
another thing that, like, so something that I brought up at my stream earlier was like, so a lot of these changes, they're betting really hard on them right now, right?
Yeah.
And like one of the changes that they made last time was like everything hit you a little bit harder, like with Final Shape, right? to the point where people complained about the difficulty in activities that they had already played, that they were used to playing before Final Shape with fairly great ease, and then they started getting smacked in the mouth a little bit, and they're like, whoa, what's this? What's it? I don't want to have to. I don't like
wasn't
getting
that
smacked in the mouth.
-5 in raids and dungeons that
Like,
blew people up?
I don't like getting smacked in the mouth. So what do you do? And then they pulled back on that decision, right? So like, I'm hoping that like whatever Bungie does, that they actually like own into it, like without like if they're planning on doing this system and they know that they're going to lose players, when they start seeing players leave, then they're like, oh, I should probably I should either like double down on this and be like, no, this is what the game is, or I don't want to see them.
I would
pull
rather
back
them
from
double
it.
down.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I just think this 6 months turnover rate is a bit short. You want me to regrind every expansion? That's one thing. It's like, okay, I get it. It's not my favorite, but I get it. Every expansion, like it's a big drop. It's a turnover, if you want, quote unquote. Fine. I'm not mad at that. I mean, it's okay. But every 6 months, when a lot of people, other than like a core community, I've become very casual about this game, unfortunately. When like a large group of people are much more casual, because for a lot of us, I'm going to include myself in that, there was not enough to keep me engaged with the game. So I've become way more casual about it, and I recognize that, and that's okay. Like, that's fine. I still enjoy the game, but I don't grind as much as I used to. And now you're telling me that, and there's a good part of the community that is similar to me right now, different levels of it, but still, you still have the core like grinder, like Epic Dan, Tiddly, who plays a lot, Rev, who plays a lot, like also like just Danfinity, like you guys play a lot, you stream it, you play a lot, so on and so forth. So you keep engaging with the content, and you still grind, and you enjoy the grind, and that's good. But I think it's still like, it's a very vocal, a very visible part of the community, but I still think it's not the vast majority of the community, right? And so I think my situation is a bit more prevalent for a lot of people, and it's like, oh, so I'm going to play the game, I'm going to grind for my weapons, I'm going to grind for my gear, I'm going to grind for all of that. That's fine. Okay, cool. But then in 6 months, and that means I might not play a ton of hours of the game in 6 months, let's be real, depending on how much time I have, how much investment I'm willing to give to the game, how much interest I have for it also. And you're telling me in 6 months I have to redo the whole grind all over again? A lot of people are just going to be like disconnected from this. If you give me a year, sure. 6 months, I don't know. I'm wary of that. Really wary of that.
Okay, so I hear what you're saying, Steph. Here's a devil's advocate argument. I mean, maybe this actually goes out to all the people in the podcast as a question. But how many? I have a vault. I'm looking at my vault right now. I have 654 items in my vault right now, currently.
Yes.
And I have been deleting them this week. I was at 699 this week, just so you know.
That's what I like to hear.
Oh, so yeah.
I have to delete mine. You're not the only one.
I'm losing things out of my postmaster. It's a very looted game. This is known, right? Of the guns that you have, and I'm sure you guys have a lot, how many do you actually use, or do you use in a given week?
When I'm playing.
I play Overwatch.
When you're playing.
Okay,
when you're playing the game.
That's the other part, right? Because that's the other issue that you just made me think about, because of your question. The amount of content that I engage with makes it so that I use way less weapons than I used to use before, because there is less content for me to engage with. Before, I could go like in strikes and just mess around, and I'd just drug up like old weapons for the heck of it. But now most of the content I engage with is very specific content that requires very specific builds, meaning I have to use very specific weapons, right? So I use way less of the weapons I used to use simply because of that, because there's less content, at least for me, to engage with. So
what kind of content are you engaging with, Steph? You usually do, like right now, you want to get the Eternal title. So you're doing like the hardest stuff available right now, right? You're doing ultimatum dungeons, right? So you're
So
going
what
to
I-
use
yeah.
the most meta loadouts you possibly can in order to
Exactly.
be as easy on your teammates who are trying to help you through it, right?
Yeah,
So
that's why I
so
always
you're
go, like,
you're using a handful of guns. I'm guessing you're using maybe 15 guns total.
maybe.
You could
Yeah.
really
Maybe.
use the
Because
same
I'm
loadout
not-
in everything though, like unless you're doing
Also very
PvP.
true. But also,
So-
I'm not playing for fun anymore. Right? I'm
Well-
playing
well-
to complete stuff.
Right. But that's the
Mhm.
thing. What I'm trying to say is that currently in the current game state, there's some activities that are so hard you have to use meta weapons to
Mhm.
clear them,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
And for the rest of the game, it's very casual. You can use any loadout you absolutely want to do anything. You can use blue gear. You know, that's why all of these content creator raids that I've done, like you use glaive only, use bow only, use whatever you want. And it's so easy. The game is so easy. It's so power crept. It doesn't matter what weapons you pull. You can use literally a white shotgun and be like, oh, this is pretty
I
good,
agree.
you know? So
I agree.
right?
Yeah.
So
But I
that's what
will
I'm saying
bring-
is okay.
But I will
okay.
bring Rimmer's point, because Rimmer just said it's not about if you use them, it's about if they are quote unquote god rolls / viable in a later season.
But
That's a
you don't
huge issue.
ever know like when that's going to happen either.
Well, that's the
But
horde
I agree.
mentality, right?
yeah.
You know,
That's the
I
one
used
about
to agree
Titus
with
that we all
that.
get instruct. Yeah.
I used to agree with that, but like I have come to the realization that Bungie will never do a meta shift super drastic without also allowing that season to have that meta.
Yes. Exactly.
Mm.
If
I
the
used to feel
season
that
is
same
arc,
way.
if the season is arc,
But
they are going to give
not
you some
anymore.
amazing arc weapons to use that you're going to really, really want to use that season. And so I'm basically trying to say, I don't think the grind is going to be as bad as we're making it out to be, at
Mhm.
least. And I know that I'm coming from a biased perspective because I'm a content creator, because I play the game a lot. I'm acknowledging that, full acknowledgement, right?
No.
But like is even for endgame content, if they're pushing a particular build, or if they're pushing a particular subclass that's in the artifact, they're going to give you some really good stuff to grind, and you're going to use that stuff that season, and it's going to
Yep.
be amazing. Like I feel like this may even be beneficial to the vault issue, because it'll make it easier to delete things with the whataboutitis, because you're going to be like, well, they're just going to give us something good next season. I can grind it next season,
Okay.
and I'll have it.
We're also
You know? I
getting
agree
more
with
vault
you.
space with renegades. Like
Yeah, no,
that
which is
we already
fine.
know
But
about that.
here's I think what and I don't know if it's only me. I'm thinking it's not only me, but my biggest quote unquote fear is not really about the grind itself. Like, not, oh, I have to get these weapons or this armor or whatever. It's like how, and again, Dan is like, we know nothing. I know we know nothing. Like, let's take that into consideration. I know we know nothing about what's coming. Okay, fair. But I'm just gonna base it on my experience of the last few expansions and few seasons. Okay, well, more than few seasons. But how, quote unquote, and it's not the right word, but this is what I'm gonna use. How awful is the grind going to be? That's my thing. Because if the grind is fun, we've had moments in this game where the grind was so much fun, where I would play for hours and I technically didn't care about the grind because I was having so much fun in an activity, hanging out with friends, and just playing that activity because that activity was just really well made. It was fun, it was engaging, and it was rewarding, of course.
Okay,
But-
so are those your qualifiers for fun grinding? Like, what does fun grinding look like to you?
Well, I don't have like, okay, I'll give you an example of what I like top of my head really quickly. Menagerie was fun grinding,
I agree, 100%.
Mhm.
Great example.
right? It is the epitome of like one of the best activity that was also really rewarding. It was a glitch. We all know it was
Yeah,
a
I
glitch.
was gonna say, why
But-
was it rewarding though,
It was-
Steph?
yeah, exactly.
Everyone
right?
says
It
that
was
and
a glitch,
forgets that the glitch was
but-
live. How many people
Okay,
still
but
enjoys farming it after it got patched? I don't
Yes,
care.
exactly.
same,
I
same,
still enjoyed
yeah.
it because it was a good activity. Exactly,
It
right? It
was.
was still, the activity itself
Yeah.
was fun. I'll bring back another activity that I enjoyed grinding, which was coil. I actually really
Mhm.
liked coil, and coil was not a glitch, right? You had a ton of stuff at the end of it. But I didn't really play coil for the weapons or for the rewards. I played it because I enjoyed the activity and I had fun in it. But that's my biggest quote unquote fear, is that you're gonna force me to grind every 6 months. But are you gonna give me activities to grind that are as good as like Menagerie or Coil or whatever. Like, am I gonna have fun grinding? Because if I have fun grinding, I don't give a shit about grinding. I will grind. 100% will engage with the content. 100% will not have any issues grinding those new rewards, right? That's okay. But if you make it painful, and they've done so in the past, I am so sorry. There were seasons where you were trying to get Season of the Deep. That was not fun. I am so sorry. No, don't try.
What about
love
the Gambit season?
I actually didn't mind Gambit because
You
I
love
enjoyed
the
that
Gambit
game mode.
season.
I actually like Gambit, so I didn't mind that. But I
I
understand
love
that for
deep
some people it was
dives.
painful.
I
and I
just
get
reversed
that,
killed
right?
it for me.
You're
Like,
great.
That was a whole other but like, and all of these things. So that's my biggest thing. That's my biggest fear with Bungie. It's like, now not only will these activities may or may not be fun if they're not fun, but now I'm forced to engage with them if I want to get like good weapons to be able to keep playing the game, right? That's what I'm afraid of. Because if you give me a Menagerie 2.0 and you give me the same reward as like Coil, go ahead. I will grind that shit to the ground.
So
But
if
if
they
you
add
give me-
Menagerie to the portal, will we expect you
I
to be
would
doing
play it.
Menagerie carries?
Maybe not carries,
You already
but I will
said it.
play with you. I will do Menagerie with people.
Because
100%.
they did say they're bringing a lot of. We saw Savage Inspire, so we know some older ones are coming back and are all going to get added to the
I will
portal.
play it. 100%.
So they also kind of leaked it, but in a couple of the screenshots, there is an option to pick Grandmaster Whisper. So who's to
Give me that
say?
shit.
Give
This
me
is
that
there,
shit.
yeah. So who's to say Menagerie is
But
a
Give me the
No,
aspect of
100%.
in
placeholding. Give
case
me him.
But-
of negative feedback, break
But-
glass. You know,
It
Menagerie.
needs to be rewarding. That's the part where I'm really afraid with Bungie, because for some reason, for a lot of the seasons, a lot of the expansions, Bungie has been so afraid of give us really good rewards. I don't know why. I don't get it. I think they still have this mentality of like, if you give a lot of stuff to people, like they'll stop playing, which, well, if your game is still fun, they'll still play. It doesn't matter. Like, I play Diablo, I get a ton of loot. Some of it is not good, don't get me wrong. But I still engage with the
You mean
content
some
when
of
I
it.
feel like the
Some of it.
content. Okay, I still get some good stuff, but more like I still play with the content because I like the content, even though like my character is all leveled up, everything is whatever. Like there's nothing more for me to grind, but I'll still play because I like it, and it's a mindless thing, quote unquote. And when I'm still having fun, and sometimes I'm just hanging out with friends or whatever. But like, stop being so afraid of giving us rewards. Like, stop. Like, just shower us in loot. Well, to a certain extent, but at least make it rewarding for us to be spending time doing that type of stuff, especially if you're gonna force me.
You don't want to get shower loot. You never
grinding.
play Borderlands.
I'm like, my Vol can't handle any more
Borderlands
showers.
3?
Can we just?
Borderlands.
We're already wet enough from the shower, Seth.
They did that with
but
Borderlands
it's
3 and
like
people
that.
loved
Are we
it.
Seth,
wet
you
from the
cannot
shower?
you cannot make the loot more rewarding unless you make our current loot less rewarding. with
That's
the
fair.
power creep.
That's fair.
Okay,
And
the
that's fair.
callback. Yes,
That's okay. That's okay with me. But again,
and
it's
also
more like,
you hit on a very important point, Seth. That even if they have fun activities, even if the loot is good, even if the grind is not terribly onerous, I will not play the game unless my friends are also playing the game, because that is the main draw. Personally, for me, as a
Agreed,
Destiny 2
same.
player, I love playing activities, not for the loot, but because I love playing with my friends.
Yep.
So there you go. So it has to be a community thing. Like there has to be
but it has
people
to
coming
be
in and
fun.
playing.
Yeah, exactly. You need to make it
Yeah.
fun so people come and
Yeah.
play it, right?
That's
Because I think that's a biggest thing. Well, not a biggest thing. It's a big thing right now. It's a big issue in a game where like things are not specific. Like they're not really fun. They're not bad, but they're not super fun. And then they're not super rewarding. And then they've also added these really complex system. Looking at you, Tonics. For
Tonics is terrible. we know how we feel about Tonics.
No way.
Yeah.
for seemingly no reason. I understand it's more like to try out stuff, and I get that, but like, please don't make that again. No, thank you. Please, no.
We also don't know
But
a
yeah.
lot about the activities that are coming, and
Correct.
like,
Oh no,
I'm-
and I get
Or
that.
if we're
right?
even
And I fully
having
get it.
activities.
yeah, if we even have
Right.
activities.
That's
and
the
I
other
don't know, I misspoke.
We're not going down that rabbit hole just yet. Jesus
Yeah.
Christ.
I
No, but
misspoke
it's
earlier
more
too about the vaults. I guess they said that they will have a solution for your vault, not that we will be getting more vault space. So
Yeah, which
Correct.
Yeah.
that solution might be what Tiddly is saying. Like, you just make all the gear bad so that everybody just gets rid of their old gear, so that they have to grind for the new gear, and so on and so forth. Like, it becomes
No,
this
just-
feeding loop, right?
What
Which
if-
No,
I get.
little do you know, I have actually done VO work for Bungie where I tell you to shard your fucking shit every time you open your vault when it's nearly full.
No, and that's okay. But again, like, I think my biggest fear throughout all of this is like, you're gonna force me to do it. Okay, please, for the love of all that is unholy,
Yeah.
make it fun. Make it so that my friends who've stopped playing actually want to come back and play. Make
Yep.
it so that I don't mind spending, like, I don't even realize how much time I'm spending in this game because I'm having so much fun. I miss that out of Destiny. That used to be a thing where I would play for hours, not realize the time that passed because I was having so much fun playing this game. And like, give me these really good activities and these really good rewards hand in hand. Sold. I'm down, and I won't complain about the grind. Swear. But it has to be those two together. Otherwise, you're shit out of luck. Sorry.
Yeah.
Heard it here first.
Me-
You heard it here.
All right.
So-
Yeah.
All right.
Keep Steph in the game. Let's go.
We're about an hour and 10 minutes in. Let's start talking about the Twid, shall we?
You mean the two twins?
Yeah,
that
the
we
two
haven't
twins that we
done?
have to cover.
The
Uh,
two twins.
both of
Okay,
them.
that's okay.
Alright.
We have Rev here. It's gonna be easy.
Yeah, we got Rev. It's gonna be easy.
Yeah, we got Rev. Easy.
He's been prepping all week, dude. He's been very excited.
we prep every week together.
I've actually got notes on my other monitor.
I know you do.
Yeah. So, I guess let's start with the 19th, the June 19th Twid,
Yeah.
where they talk about how melee damage is changing. I'm just going to scroll down a little bit just to like show what's new and not necessarily talk about how it used to work. When the Edge of Fate is released in July 15th, melee damage increases in Destiny 2 will be additive. That means 2 hypothetical 50% damage increases will be added together for a total 100% damage increase. Now, this does result in lower damage ceiling for melee abilities, and it is unlikely that most bosses will ever be one-shot with melee abilities going forward. But because
That's
we
what
do
you
not
think.
need
That's
to
what
worry
you
about
think.
Dan.
Agreed.
but because we do not need to worry about someone stacking these melee buffs and trivializing most content in the game, we could do 2 very
Yes,
cool
you do.
things. We are
No,
buffing.
no.
Hold on,
I
hold
love
on, hold
how
on,
they
hold on.
underestimate
Let me
the
finish
community.
this paragraph. We are buffing almost all effects that increase melee damage. Some of them by double the damage they do now. And in PvE, melee damage increasing effects always stack at full value if applicable. Our goal with these changes is to make it much easier to create a personalized build that works the way that you want. Many powerful combinations of melee abilities and build crafting atoms are now much stronger than they were. We are very excited to see what melee builds y'all cook up in the Edge of Fate with these new changes. Okay, the floor is now open.
Okay.
Now you may
so,
talk.
grapple
Day
melee.
2. Instantly one-shotting the new raid bosses. Let's go.
Oh my god.
So, to give you an idea of what we're going to be doing, I theorize a combi blow with grapple punch.
Okay.
All right.
Yep.
Now, this isn't the only way to do all of this, but this is my way to do it. So, combi blow at full stacks is now 400% additive. The ones I'm reading out first are all additive. Facet of Courage is 50%. Frozen is 120%. 1-2 Punch is now 150%. Dialect Executioner, if you can pull that off, 300%. Shield Crush, the melee component, is 12.5%. And Syntheseps is 165%. That is a 12.975x additive. And now the multipliers. Tractor Cannon, 30%. Melee at 200 stat, 30%. Grenade also at 200 stat. Now, they may decouple this or disconnect it from grapple melees. I fucking hope they do. Is 65%. And Shield Cost Grenade component, same thing as above, 12.5. That's multiplicative of 3.213. If you times that to the 12.975, you get a 41.6x damage increase. What the fuck? That is a 4,168% damage increase from base. And they said we're not one-shotting.
Absolute one-shotting.
All right,
I don't understand how they keep underestimating their community.
like the first
Like, guys,
thing.
please.
The first thing I did was go grapple melee after they nerfed after they said ignitions are now fixed on melees.
Mhm.
I have a feeling that's actually going to be fixed across the board. Because their justification for it was, jolts is now uniformly lateral across the board, so we're going to treat ignitions from melees the same way. That doesn't make sense if I can make Big Boomer with a gun versus Consecration. What the fuck? Just make it all uniform. Make it simple. It's not hard. I don't mind the ignitions doing a fixed damage, but just make it normal. Because if I can do an ignition with a grenade at 2 times thanks to Verity, but I can't do it with Synthoceps on Consecration, I'm just going to switch to Verity.
Mm-hmm.
Smile. So, yeah, there needs to be some streamlining, in my opinion, on that decision. But all these changes to melees, they're good. Like, they're buffing up them in individual capacity, but even when they've switched it to additive, if what I'm theorizing is with the multiplicatives as well on top, before the final shape, I did the same thing with this build, and it was a 14.5x.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't come to fruition because Combi Blow didn't work with Grapple, thank God. It's now 41.68. Like, the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
This is obscene. I don't think we'll be getting it. I hope we don't get it. Because if
I
we
think you might
do,
revert it.
like your Titans are not the melee class anymore. Sit behind your barricade, mate. I'm just going to swing in. Don't worry about it. I've got this. Right? I'm a fucking hunter. I shouldn't be doing this.
So yeah. Like I was looking through this and like I'm excited that glaives are getting some love here. Oh come on, what was it? Accidentally backed out of there. So we have glaive melee is considered an unpowered melee ability in the Edge of Fate. They now receive melee damage increases at full effect in all cases where an unpowered melee ability would, including the damage increases from Synthocept, Knockout, Offensive Bulwark, Combination Blow, Spark of Feedback, Worm God Caress, Banner of War, and Stylish Executioner. That's just going to be good old-fashioned fun. I'm very excited. Wait, hold on. Is everybody muted? God dang it. Hold on. My apologies. Everybody was muted there.
Hello,
Oh, we're all
Dan.
muted.
What's occurring?
Wow.
I hit a goddamn button.
Yeah, you did.
Dan was like, only me.
So, the last thing we heard from you was you reading up the glaive changes, and I immediately rebutted with telling you you're going to be
Of
a
course
hunter
you are.
main
Oh, yeah.
because they have the highest multipliers available to them with a glaive.
Well, it's about time that I've been able to go back to Hunter. I've been on
Nah,
Titan
mate,
for how many
you're a
years?
dinner plate thrower, mate. Shut up.
Oh, my God.
But yeah. What else sticks out to you guys about the ability changes, about the exotic armor changes that they mentioned here?
I'm curious about the
melee bits?
nerfs first. If they
Yeah.
don't do any nerfs, could be some.
Yeah.
I might actually put on a glaive, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I don't know. They all the stuff Ref said could be all down the drain when the tweet comes out Thursday, and it's like none of this is going to work, or like some other nerfs happen. But as
Yeah.
of right now, hey, I'm going to be in the crafting place making me some new glaives because I've not used one ever, and I'm gonna go into the firing range and practice glaives. So
Oh
I'll tell you
my
that.
Well, I've got a couple of things to think on for everybody, not just the people in the podcast there. So, 1-2 Punch will now work with all melees. This includes on Warlock, Synthoceps with Lightning Surge, a full power Thunderclap, fucking hell, and Throwing Hammer again.
I'm excited
now
to do with
lasts
throwing hammer.
3 seconds. Yeah.
I'm
With
so
the new
excited for a
thing that
Titan
like
Bong.
for Thor calling
Yeah,
back.
with the exotic.
Oh,
Yeah.
that was so cool.
So,
That's going to be
I'm
nice.
a solar Titan
caveat.
so hard.
Mm-hmm.
caveat to that, Dan. With those new exotic, if the explosion on recoil is coded as melee, it is as strong as Synthoceps.
That's what I was thinking. Yes, I'm hoping.
Yeah.
That is
man.
my hope.
The next thing of note, Monte Carlo is going to be a meme. They are unshackling it from its nerfs.
Finally.
It will now do 2.75 extra damage to champs and 5 times to bosses. Side note, 1-2 punch might work with it. And you might be asking why. Have you heard
Oh
of
my
Lucky
God.
Pants Hunter with the new spread shot hand cannon, which has 1-2 punch from Trials?
No.
Smile.
God.
Yep, I've already theorized it. Quick access swing on the hand cannon for the fastest swap, and then you proc your bayonet and stab the bastard.
God.
I want to see that now. I'm so sorry, but I want to see that.
Yep, that's all for the theorized. Next one, and this can lead into a different conversation because this is something that me and Court have been talking about in D2 Llama stream.
Mhm.
And that is Bacchus no longer counting as a surge. It has us thinking that more exotics will follow this rule of thumb. If the majority of buff stacking stays multiplicative, things will get very broken very quickly with grenades and weapons, as it were. The reason for this is as follows. I've got Court's diagram on my monitor here, so I'll read it out. So, current sandbox, tractor cannon 30%, radiant is 20%, Bacchus is 25%, and then a bait and switch weapon of 30%, of an activity surge of 25%. Okay, this is the highest total buff you can give yourself as a Bacchus user. That is 217% multiplicative. Now, moving into Edge of Fate, if it's multiplicative, all of that plus 200 weapon stat of whatever you want, and the new gear bonus of 15 or now 10%. Multiplicative total is 421%. Additive, though, is 185. So we're thinking with the melee changes, grenades and weapon stacking will go to additive with stats and maybe some outliers like exotics to help give them a bit more shine, as it were, will remain multiplicative. Because 421% from one person is near Forsaken levels. There's a number that's always stuck in my head around Forsaken about damage stacking back then for Riven, and that was 657. That's the percentage you hit when you stacked all the buffs back then and tried to cannon. It's obscene. And one person can do this. Back then, it took an entire team.
So we're about to see some really funny videos, is what you're saying.
Absolutely.
Maybe.
Probably.
Now, I'm hoping they make it additive. As much as seeing 427 little Blinky Boy is going to be hilarious, I don't want... I don't want to just go, I just need to dash, pick up an orb, and then just one-tap everything with a 180 hand cannon called Sightline Survey. God forbid that's a thing. Or Lord of Wolves, God forbid, because you'll be able to use Lord of Wolves for Bacchus next season. Which I think is a nice little thing. I think that's cute. But yeah. Currently, we only know about the melee side. Weapon and grenade stacking is, to our knowledge, remaining multiplicative. And that's the big problem.
Let me see here. I'm looking through. There's so many changes.
Yeah, I've highlighted some good ones.
Okay.
Oath Keepers for me is so Oath Keepers. It might be because of the hierarchy of need changes, whatever they may be. I am hoping they change hierarchy of needs to be more mobile. Like the ring moves with you. That's my hope. But whatever the changes they are, it could be good, could be bad. But the Oath Keeper changes are, it will ramp up fast at the start and caps out at 200% at the tail end after 5 seconds. So if the ramp up at the beginning is significant enough, a rapid fire bow like Hierarchy of Need, which hits as low as 400 MS, you can hold those shots a little bit longer and send out some really high power bolts. Alpha Lupi for Titans, they get the Defib Blast perk effectively from this season. You use it behind your barricade. Repeat damage sends out another healing aura effectively, and also gives you class energy back. That's the thing. I think that's a pretty good change overall.
Mm-hmm.
You can still combo that with Storm's Keep, and you can still relive the best part of this season. Abeyant Leap and Kepri's Horn on Prismatic is going to be a lot of fun because of the buffs they made it. Essentially, they've increased the tracking for both aspect sides of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I've already got a build for it that I put together this season, and it's quite nice, but it's definitely nowhere near as obviously Conk spam. But next season, because of Conk getting nerfed in multiple different areas, I actually think it could be a decent build.
Okay.
The star of the show is going to be Starfire, though.
Easily
The biggest buff of the season goes to Starfire. It is
Mm-hmm.
not even funny. So, for those who haven't been following Starfire's changes, I'm scrolling down and
It says Starfire Protocol now also activates on radiant damage.
Yep.
Increases the fusion grenade energy gain from dealing damage from 2.5 to 5%, so the double percentage there. They reduced fusion grenade energy gain from final blows from 20% to 15%.
So, I also have the artifact open on my other mono. So, to give you an idea of how easy it is going to be next season, third column, top row, Fever and Chill, rapid multiple precision hits, grant, solar weapons, Radiant. Have you heard of a
Okay.
gun called Red Death?
Yeah.
Because also next season, we have Anti-Barrier Scout and Pulse Rifle. Ember Benevolence works with Red Death because it heals everything around it, as well as yourself. It's going to be obscene. And you no longer need to stand in an Empowered Rift. You just need to become Radiant. I just need to hit 6 crits, roughly. No, sorry, 8 crits. That is 2 bursts and a bit. And then I'm Radiant. And then I'm off to the races. It's GG. I can just walk around throwing tennis balls. Who the fuck are you to stop me? This thing's going to be a joke, how powerful it is. And I'm looking forward to it.
And then the discipline. If you run high discipline, it gets even up to 65% grenade damage.
65% grenade damage increase before anything else. And then also, on the artifact, Shield Crush. Grenade component is, whilst amplified, all Radiant, get 25% grenade recharge and grenade damage. 8 crits. And I trigger both my exotic and my artifact perk. And then there's a bunch of other things which can be tied into it, but it's just mostly those 2 things. And you're done. That's the build.
Better
Hit
run
your crits.
Starfire for contest raid Warlock.
Yeah.
3.
Yep.
That sounds like what's going to happen.
I've already made a build for Starfire going into next season with
Same. Yep.
ridiculously high grenade and also weapon and everything else, and stupidly low resilience because who the fuck's going to need resilience when I'm a god?
And every single grenade is going to heal you. Boom. Free.
Yeah, exactly. What else have I got on here? Geomag's nerf, we all saw coming. If you didn't, so newsflash, it's getting nerfed and it needs it. Is not going to matter whatsoever. Just put your super stat to 100 and you'll be fine.
Yep.
And as a hunter, gambler dodge. What the fuck?
Oh yeah. They're changing it so that you no longer need to be near an enemy in order to.
Yeah. And
Yep.
it scales off of your melee stat in terms of what you get back. Now, I don't mind it scaling off of melee stat. That's fair enough. All right, you want a bit of balance on it? Cool, not a problem. But the whole remit of a hunter is to do dumb shit and get away with it.
Right.
Point in case, combination blow on Arc Hunter before Prismatic came along was one of the most busted melee things in the whole game. You put Assassin's Cowl on, and then you went off to the races because every punch turned you invisible, gave you health, and it charged up your next one. You dodged, and then you went to go and donkey punch the next guy. Taking this away, I get it opens up the floor for hunters to be less aggro, but that is the entire job remit of a hunter.
Yeah.
Like, Titans are there to push the line and hold it. Warlocks are there to do really cool space magic-y shit.
Mhm.
What's a hunter outside of killing the biggest thing in the room? He's also up there, but he doesn't need to hide behind a barricade or to sit in a rift and hope he gets healed. He punches you. That's his health. And then he might go invis. I'm still going to be doing it. Like, I've played Hunter for 10 years now. And all throughout D2, I can see this invisible little circle around me about getting my melee back. I'm still going to do it. Because that's what's been ingrained to me. Like, a new player, cool. They're going to take full advantage of that. They'll be doing some quirky stuff. Happy to do it. But it is so jarring as a long-time player to go, no, you don't need to do what you've been doing for the last 7 years. It's like, what the fuck do you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm still going to go do it because half my builds revolve around punching the next guy in the face. Final note for me is Devour nerf. Actually, no, I've got two nerfs. I've got two notes. Devour nerf, finally. This is on Warlock exclusively. This is Prime Devour, if you want to call it, not Devour like everybody else has. Right. It goes down to 140 HP instead of 200. This, in my opinion, should have been done years ago because Devour is already too strong. So they're finally nerfing it. Thank God. And the last one, Shatter. What the shit? Why isn't it not gonna stun my unstop anymore?
Oh yeah, we talked about that.
Oh
This makes
weird.
The overload
no
to unstop swap.
sense
Yeah.
whatsoever. I get the reasoning behind it. Fair enough. I'm not a game dev. I don't know what this opens up to you. I don't know what you've got cooking. I'm still going to use a Duskfield to slow the overload, though, because it's an instant stun. I'm not going to use a Glacier Grenade, or God forbid, a Cold Snap Nade to go and freeze the bastard.
No.
It's not instant. He's still going to attack me.
He's going to retaliate. It doesn't solve the retaliation, which is why overloads are more dangerous than unstoppables. Because they will instantly retaliate and kill you in a high level content.
Two of them will TP rush you, and the other one will go, you and me right now. We're gonna have this. Like
and this is why I like murdering you with overloads and GMs. But now I have an excuse for doing it.
2 years I put up with you doing that, and not have you
God.
learned your lesson? 2 fucking years.
It's so fun. I just shoot the overload once, and when you're in front, and then boom, Rev is dead.
Yeah, please stop doing that.
Never.
So I don't get why they've done this overall. Stasis is now the only subclass in the game with a solo champ counter. If you think they're adding an anti-barrier counter to it, no. Because Void, Solar, Strand already do that. Why overpopulate the most popular anti-champ capability in the game with just adding a stasis one? We need more. We want more unstop counters, because currently now it's just blind on Arc. Who the fuck is using blind on Arc? and ignitions on Solar, which honestly, they're fairly consistent. So Shatter was the most potent way of controlling an unstop. It immobilized them, and then when you were ready, you shattered them, and you got the stun off, and then you started going to town. But now that's not going to be the case. You're just going to throw your Glacier Grenade and fuck off. What's she going to do? She's going to sit there like a lemon. And then he's going to charge you. So this is one, like the note I put for this, the most confusing L in history. Right? And what Doomhammer just said in chat, retire champions. Yeah, like we have so many counters to them. They are now a red bar drag.
Yeah, I never see them doing that. I don't see them getting rid of them.
I would like them to revisit them.
Yeah.
If they wanted to be a gameplay component, cool. How about you go over them? They've been out since Shadowkeep. Maybe revisit it. I don't mind them staying in the game if they're going to be a challenge, but Jesus Christ, you could replace all the champions and all the GMs with light bearers infinitely better, in my opinion. They
I'd have to
actually
get
do
rid of
provide
an
a challenge.
entire column of what they do for their artifact too. I feel like
True,
that's why
that's
they
so
don't want to do it
true.
either.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, one quest, light bearers. Yeah, so this is my justification for light bearers. Every gun is good against them, and they will humble you. Anybody can counter a light bearer, and if you if you want to be real meta about it, tether them, suppress them, use tractor cannon, whatever you want. That will shut them right down.
Mm-hmm.
We can't do shit then. But light bearers as a whole, they have a varied enough kit to be a threat to any player. And any of our guns, any of our abilities, whatever you want to do, is also effective against them. They are equal, and I think they provide the perfect challenge. Counterpoint. Put everything as a tormentor or subjugator. Fuck it.
Oh my god, no, please.
Drain Bane subjugators.
Yeah,
No.
Want a
everything's
real
drained.
challenge?
Those
Yeah.
tiny little screams
Oh.
that we saw in the video on Tuesday.
I'm
Drain.
so happy they're back.
Yeah.
I'm so happy
So many
they're back.
drains.
Scream!
I've been saying for years that is the best GM modifier of all time because you knew.
So infuriating.
Look, it didn't work
So
correctly.
that-
It was not the best of
so
all time, but it was the
They
Yeah.
spawned in underneath the map.
Yeah, I remember that.
So,
Oh,
yeah,
that was so funny.
massive bug aside, you knew exactly what you were in for when you saw that. You shot a raider. You knew there's a mini little shithead coming out of it, running straight at you. You knew that there was a cause and effect. Why can't we have more shit like that? Like, I'm really happy that the mini cubes are coming back as a component for players to watch against. But man, if I get an ogre running at me and he's got Screeb on it, I'm just gonna accept my fate. I'm good.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
So that was like the ability. That was like 19. We didn't go through everything because there was so many changes here.
so
But
many
to me,
changes, yeah.
those are the most
Impactful?
most impactful or standoutish ones.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously, if you do want to reread it, go and reread it. The 19th of, was it June? Yeah, June.
Yeah.
Twab. There's more changes than that.
Yeah. Moving on to the 26th of June, the one that is entirely about armor, and probably the one that is most recent in everybody's memory. So we're getting Armor 3.0, and they said that with the release of Edge of Fate, any new armor released will use the Armor 3.0 system. Don't worry, the armor rolls you already have won't change. They will just have their stats moved over 1-to-1. So people have been farming those like super spiky rolls for a while now for armor.
Heresy, my goat.
Yeah. While the system was featured in the developer insight video linked above, here's a quick overview of how things work. So we're going to get set bonuses. Think of a set bonus like an origin trait for armor, a reflection of the armor's theme that can fold into the way that you build plays. Set bonuses are perks granted when you equip 2 or 4 pieces of armor from the same set. This allows you to either blend 2 separate sets or to commit to 2 bonuses from the same set. Each set bonus has been built with both approaches in mind, and we are looking forward to seeing what what you creative guardians managed to put together in these new tools. So one of the things that they say here, like they show us the Aeon renewal set. Like the two-piece perk from that is like Force Converter. After a final blow with missiles, rocket launchers, and grenade launchers, sprint for a short time to gain speed booster. So you get that. With 4 pieces of that, you would have reactive booster. So once per activation of anomalous servos, sprinting while at critical health, being suspended, or being slowed by a stasis effect will immediately grant speed booster for a short duration. So that's if you have 4 pieces of that set on. But if you wanted to say take take 2 pieces of the Aeon renewal set and mix it with TechSec, the TechSec set, you would have not only the Force Converter perk from the Aeon renewal, but you would also have Wrecker. You deal significantly increased kinetic damage to overshields, combatant shields, and constructs.
That's so fun.
That's cool.
Diablo 3.
Mixing and matching is fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but seriously, that's Diablo 3. Like Diablo 3 had this thing where you would have like armor sets where if you had like all 6 items, you would have X thing. If you had 4, you have X thing. 2, you
Right.
would have X thing. So like that's literally Diablo 3 to me. I'm like, oh yeah, this is very reminiscent to that. I'm not against it. My my worry, I guess, is the right word, is more like, are we gonna be able to get good rolls of those armor sets? Because I like, am I gonna get only 50s? Like that's another
So-
thing, right?
Yeah, yes, you'll be able to get more better rolled ones. They've got an armor tier system we could talk about later down the line if you want.
Mm-hmm.
But let's talk about that after, like later on. But yeah, like that thing is interesting. I'm wondering how much of an impact it will have on the everything, I guess. I don't really have the right words right now, but yeah, I mean, it was really good. And again, I'm gonna bring back Diablo 3 because that's what I know of it. Like, it was really good in Diablo 3, especially depending on the season,
Mm-hmm.
because some season had like specific sets that were absolutely brilliant, and other that were just absolutely bullshit. But it could be really interesting depending on how much of an impact it will have, like how good this buff, I guess you could call it a buff, can be, or these buffs can be every season, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not mad at it. I'm just more, again, worried about, can you still get good armor sets? Can you still get good stats? Because yeah,
Probably with the like Rev was saying, like if you do harder difficulties, my guess is they probably like weight it a little
Yeah,
bit heavier.
probably.
No,
Yeah.
that is correct. So we've got the armor tier system. It's actually just underneath. I actually thought it was further down, so maybe. So we've actually got gear tiers. For armor, tier 1 is 52 to 57. So
Mhm.
trash. But you got tier 4, which is 70 to 75, and you get a bonus of extra mod energy. So you get 11 energy instead of 10. The way you do that is by doing more difficult content, and you could tune that yourself in the portal when you go to choose your activity. Like you could do a GM at like minus 40, for example, if you so choose. Which, by the way, easy as shit. You'll be fine. Getting the armor with the set bonus that you want should be fairly easy with this tier system. Once you know what tier you want, you then just set it to that set the parameters so you're guaranteed to get it, and then you just go and farm it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we'll move on to the armor archetypes. So there's going to be 6 armor archetypes that feature one stat primarily and then another stat secondarily. So we have Paragon, so that's super primary, and then melee secondary. We have Grenadier with grenade primary and super secondary. We have Specialist, which is class primary and weapons secondary. We have Brawler, melee primary and health secondary. Bulwark, health primary and class secondary, and then Gunner, weapons primary and grenade secondary. So did they say that these would like the way that they mix and match these? Did they say that some of these would be heavily featured within like the set bonuses, like specific set bonuses, or
not that I'm aware
is it
of.
just completely random?
These are what will dictate your stat points. So at the moment we've got focusing on our ghost to help with that at the moment. I believe. Oh no, it says it right there. Each 3.0 drop has a randomly selected archetype.
Okay. So
Okay.
Gotcha.
You just got to keep going until you get like your specialist, for example, if that's what you really want. Which is why people are farming now, because if you, as Stan just read out, you may not have heard, there is no super or weapon stat combo. Start farming that shit. And the way you do that is you put mobility as your focus at the moment, and then you just wait for it to line up with a high intellect spike, and that's it. That's because that's not a combo going forward. That'd been a legal combo in
Okay.
the Edge of Fate.
So it's an outlier combo that you're searching for.
Yeah, they haven't made a archetype for it. Whether they do or not in the future, they might do, which would be cool. But for the time being, out of those are the 6 that we're getting in Edge of Fate. So if you really want your super and your weapons to be your highest stat, you need to farm the mobility armor as you're focused on your ghost, and just hope you get some intellect drops.
Right. They also said that for masterworking, with all the new and shiny armor set bonuses to try out, we wanted to make sure that it was easy to try out a new piece of armor. So we've updated the masterworking system for Armor 3.0 drops. All 3.0 drops will have their maximum armor energy available regardless of masterwork level. Masterworking armor no longer increases all stats. The amount granted by primary, secondary, and tertiary stats rolled will not change. With the exception of armor mods. And then masterworking will now increase your lowest 3 stats on the piece of armor by +1 with each level. This is a maximum of +5 for each, or +15 stats total.
That's a nice change overall.
Yeah.
Because it's for a new player trying to get into build crafting, and they need to get their energy up on their armor so they can put more powerful combos of mods in. That's quite restrictive, but just to give everybody the full whack from the offset is fantastic, and then it buffs your stats afterwards. Yeah, that's actually a good change. This is actually one of the few things I like going forward.
Yeah. We already talked a little bit about gear tiering. Rev, you pretty much read off the table exactly what was happening here. So, like with tier 1, you have 52 through 50 to 57 total stats. Tier 2, 58 to 63. Tier 3, 64 to 69. Tier 4 is where it's 70 to 75 stats, but you get an extra mod energy as your bonus. And then tier 5, which is the highest tier, just a flat 75 total stat. And then you get extra mod energy and a randomly tuned stat for that piece of armor.
If you look at the example below, and obviously you can't through the podcast and on live stream at the moment, they've got a we're showing a screenshot of some new armor. It's a tier 5 one. They have a health mod within it. And effectively, it doesn't have any weapon stat. It has 5 for class, but then it's got 20, 30, 20, and 25 and a bunch of other stats. So that they're trying to show off how powerful a tier 5 can be, and you are going to want to farm these, irrespective of what set bonus they come with. You are going to want to farm tier 4 and 5s. You will get some fat stacking off of it. And it appears to me that the cap is around about 40, maybe 45 tops. I'm not sure if we can overcap it, but just based on the graph they've shown there.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
They said armor with tune stat has access to tuning mod slot, allowing you to choose between moving 5 stats from any others. To your tune stat or balance tuning, which increases the armor 3 lowest stats all at once. The new gear was like the thing that we talked about that a little bit earlier when we were talking about the dev stream. Said we also took a look at seasonal gear and refactored it into new gear to provide focus for build crafting throughout the game's various activities. New gear can offer more lethality and PvE content, drop with several seasonal bonus power, and receive bonuses from the current seasonal artifact. It is easily identifiable with a unique colored border and icon background so that you'll always know where to find it. Specific weapons will also be considered new gear. New gear will include a 10% bonus for weapon damage and a 15% bonus to damage resistance. These bonuses will not only apply to PvP or to the contest, or these bonuses will not apply to PvP or the contest mode for the upcoming raid. We'll have additional information at a later date for how that system works with gear what gear qualifies more. Anybody want to add to that before we start getting into exotic armor? Because that's where a lot of this chunk is. All right. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna go into the exotic armor bit.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so there's a controversial thing in there. That is, so they're doing something nice, and that is they're letting us focus up to 20 exotics of our choosing, account wide, for free at Ada 1, to go straight into the new system, which is great. Our existing rolls are going to be converted 1-to-1 as well. So if you have a stat roll you already like and your favorite exotic, don't go hunting for a new one. You don't need to. The controversial thing is these exotics are going to roll to their tier 2, which is 58 to 63 stat total.
Oh.
These are exotics. Yep. They shouldn't be less than 65, in my opinion.
Agreed.
Yep.
They are the cornerstone of a lot of builds, if not the governing centerpiece. Why are the stats shit? Like this, like they say once masterwork, this should be comparable to all but the very best Armor 2.0 rolls. Motherfucker, I have a 70-year-old Nighthawk. What makes you think I'm dropping that to get a tier 2? Are you mad? I would keep the 30 resilience.
Yeah.
Like, as much as I want weapon and intellect, I'm not dropping those stats. Are you mad? So that bit's a bit backwards. I reckon I should increase the tier because, yeah, like we've all been I'm trying to use numbed to exotics. They drop far too frequently. Borderlands 3, for example, had the same issue. Their legendaries dropped far too frequently, to the point you could kill a basic ass enemy in the highest difficulty. He's going to drop maybe 1, sometimes even 2 legendaries if you're lucky. I mean, what's the point? What's so special about them? Why should I hunt these down? Especially if the freebies were going to get granted. I know they're free. But if the freebies are going to be tier 2, what's the point? I might as well just farm GMs now and get 67 to 70, sometimes even higher 72, which, as I'm just going to remind people, like the only way to get higher on that is going to be tier 4 or tier 5. All right. I'm just going to go farm GMs.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's what they want you to do.
Yep.
So
with this change.
So when it's double loot, pull your socks up, get farming.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which I think should be soon. I hope it's soon. Please be soon. I need to get farming.
One of the things they say here, so you have all those from Ada, but as for exotic class items, they are the only armor from before the Edge of Fate that will be converted fully into the new system. Each one will receive the maximum stats available for an exotic, so 30 in the primary stat and 20 in the secondary stat and 13 in the tertiary. To prevent this from massively increasing the number of possible class item rolls, these stats will be assigned based on their rolled perks, the archetype being determined by the left column perk, the tertiary stat by the right column perk. However, this does mean that they can no longer be upgraded to Artifice armor and will lose any existing Artifice mod slot. So are we just seeing the end of Artifice armor?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, so if you got Legendary Artifice and you like the stat splits on them, keep them. You never know, they might find a nice little slot in builds in the future. But the ones they're showing, Hunter 1 is Inmost with Critiarchny. It's going to be a brawler, which means it will have it has 30 super, it has 20 melee, and its tertiary is grenade. So what you can discern from that on other class items is Inmost Light is going to be governing super. And the tertiary, which is Critiarchny, is going to be governing grenade, because Brawler is governing the melee stat.
Right.
On the Warlock, you've got Apotheosis Star Eater. Primary is obviously Super, so that's what Apotheosis governs. The secondary is Melee, which comes from Paragon. And then the weapon stat is for Star Eater. And then Titan, you've got Assassin Syntho. Primary stats 30 on Melee, so Spirit of the Assassin governs your melee, as well as Brawler in this case because it's also a Brawler. Brawler also buffs your health, so that gets a plus 20, and then it's Tertiary, which would be Synthoceps, is class. So based on those, you can break them down, and you can actually make some builds now, which don't have, which aren't carbon copies of the ones here. If you're feeling brave enough to try and attempt that. Me as a hunter, in most Crit Darkly is the most busted and basic build in the whole game, and hunters should be using it, in my opinion. It's incredibly easy. So it would be nice if we got a list of what they're all going to be. Because then, you can start making builds. But I doubt they're going to do it with 64 combos across and times that by 3. Smile.
Yeah. Honestly, that would be super nice. Just so that or you could at least break down like what each one governs. You could at least do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, like based on their explanation above, like you can surmise what Inmost is going to do on anything else. You can do that on Apotheosis and Spirit of the Assassin. And then the Tertiary, you can also surmise on on Cartaginy, Star Eater, and Synthoceps. So yeah, if you're feeling brave, try it. You probably are going to be right. But
go ahead.
I was going to say, but apart from losing the artifice slot, that's perfectly fine in my opinion, given the fact the class items didn't have stats to begin with. So we are getting 78 stat points for free.
Yep.
Give me that shit. I'm cool with that. Like, yes, please.
Everybody running Prismatic day one.
Yes. Like,
yeah.
Yeah. Nobody's getting tier 4 armor till September. You doubt people.
Yeah, somebody will be getting something within the first week. Let's talk about gear swapping. They said that they wanted to highlight one specific change that they were making to a specific exotic chest armor come July 15th, and they missed last week's TWID. So Sanguine Alchemy, so swapping to this exotic in combat will now apply a 10-second cooldown before its perk can be activated. I'm looking here to see if they were going to be making that change to other exotics in the future.
So Sanguine is the test bed. Before we get into how you get around this, like as much as it is min-maxing, we shouldn't really be doing it. You should be going into the encounter with your build already on, ready to go. Like, cool, by all means, swap to your DPS loadout with triple surge and all that guff. Cool. That's what you're meant to do. But swap into Sanguine to then just swap to an Arc Super whilst you're inside your own well. Yeah, like that's kind of pushing it in terms of how they want to balance the game, and I can understand that. The restriction they've imposed does fuck all. All right, apply a 10-second cooldown before this perk can be activated. So what do you do, dear listeners? You apply it 10 seconds before DPS. That's how you get around it. You swap to it 10 seconds before DPS. I shit you not. This does nothing.
Yeah.
Or if you happen to swap to it during, at DPS, it's just going to activate 10 seconds into your well. Well lasts 30 seconds. And in terms of ammo recon, you're going to be fine. You're going to be halfway through your max, to be honest. You're still going to get the full benefit. this does nothing to Sanguine Alchemy. You are still going to see people swapping it. I will
It
not
just
be
makes it a
surprised.
little more annoying to use it that way. Yeah.
Yeah, you just got to think 10 seconds ahead, or just accept the 10-second penalty mid-well.
Mm-hmm.
That's nothing in the grand scheme of things. I fully anticipate this being disabled for day one.
Like completely disabled.
Yep, Sanguine's going to be disabled for day one. No, there's that 10-second cooldown is a non-issue for players with half a brain cell. Like, if you thought that killed swapping, bro.
I'm gonna be on Starfire anyway.
I'm going to be on Starfire too.
I don't use Sanguine. I'm good. That 10% or whatever I'm losing from Sanguine, I'm just gonna toss a billion A's. It'll be fine.
Yeah. It takes 20 bullets to get the A back anyway. Sweet.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Probably the thing that I saw the most controversy over was the featured exotics listed in this week's TWID. So they said, starting with Edge of Fate, certain exotic armor and weapons will be specifically featured, gaining the same benefits as new gear, and will change with each expansion and major update. At the Edge of Fate's launch, 28 exotic weapons and 15 exotic armors for each class will be featured, including all new The Edge of Fate exotic weapons and armor. But don't worry, even if your favorite isn't on the list, you'll still be able to use it almost everywhere you go. This just feels like they're trying to pigeonhole you super hard, right?
So so not only does the artifact dictate the meta, especially what elements you're going to be using. Like, try using solar at the moment. Yeah, you can use it. It's not as flashy as seeing like a billion little green bastards go off and stab another guy and spawn another green bastard.
Right.
Like, that's fucking great. Give me more of that. Gonna be sad to see that go, but hello, Starfire meta. Like, the fact the artifact gives us a pseudo sunset on what we're going to be using is fine. We've accepted that. But this is only in relation to your gear bonus, as it were. So the 10% weapon damage increase and the 15% DR. And to the guy who said in chat, you need to wear 3 weapons and 5 armor pieces. Well, yep, I'm absolutely going to do that if it was enabled for the contest raid. I don't care what the other perks are if I have Outbreak Perfected as one of the featured weapons, and lo and behold, it is. I'm just going to spray Eseipha everywhere at 10% more. Fuck you, because why would I not do that? Doesn't matter what the other weapons do. If I can make gun go burr 10% faster and I get a free 15% damage reduction, yes, please.
Cryo Phoenix in chat says it's just plus 15% DR max. If you have 4 pieces of new armor and an exotic not featured, it'll still get like plus 12% DR.
Yeah, but I'm still going to take advantage of that system. Why would you not if you're an endgame player? That is 3 DR on exotics which match the artifact. That's the point. No, there's not really an arc weapon in here apart from there's 3, 4 if you count Graviton Spike. You've got Lodestar, Acreus, and Worldline 0. Why they're in there, I don't know. Lodestar's in there because it's fresh. That's it. But everything else interacts with the artifact in some form. So, yeah.
Yeah.
I personally don't like this seasonal gear bonus. It doesn't fit Destiny. And to go, this is the list of the stuff that will give you your full 15 and your full 10%. Yeah, I'm going to be using Outbreak Perfected. I'm going to be using Wishkeeper, Graviton Spike whenever I craft that, Polaris Lance, Graviton Lance, all that sort of stuff. Hierarchy of Needs is in there, of all things. Big up my bow.
It's just one more annoying thing that you have to check.
Yeah,
it's an annoyance more than anything.
Like, let me play the game and let me have fun with some of my builds. Like, yeah, you can give some constrictions, or constraints. Yeah, sure. You want to make things better. Technically the artifact is not a constraint. It's just this is better. Okay, cool. But it still at some point might feel like a constraint because it's like, well, if this is better, then why should I use anything else? And I think that this is what Destiny has become a lot of. It's like, well, technically you don't have to use that, but it's way better. So why would you not use that?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, okay, but if I want to just use something that's not as good, but is fun to me, I don't really get to do that anymore.
But
If I want to be somewhat efficient.
But is it one of those things where like I see where Cryo Phoenix in chat is coming from, but is it one of those things that like, is that 3% worth min-maxing over?
Yes.
Okay.
It would depend on stuff, but yeah,
Yeah.
I would agree with Rev. Like it will be good, especially for like endgame stuff, high level stuff.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
Point in case. How many times have you told people who are at tier 8 or tier 9 resilience to get it to 100? To get it to tier 10?
Fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
True.
All right, it is the same thing. It's just a smaller number. It is the same margin. All right.
It all goes down to this idea of like, yeah, like it's not that big of a difference, sure, but why would you not?
Mm-hmm.
Like if you can do more damage, why would you not? Type of thing,
Yeah.
right? And that it becomes this thing where, like I said, like, yeah, you don't have to, technically, sure, you don't have to. But if you want to be like, if you want to do more damage or be more efficient or be able to do more in the game, then why would you not? It's so again, it's not technically a constraint, but it ends up becoming one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, funny thing, I've just been looking down the list, by the way. So we get a solar stasis and strand themed artifact. That's great. That's great. Sunshot, Tiku's interact with the artifact. They are not part of that list.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So they haven't included all of the solar weapons, all of the strand, all of the stasis weapons on here. They've just included some of them. So for those who are looking to enjoy TQs next season, Lamau, you're going to be doing 3.3 less damage than me because you decided to have fun.
That's there. That's exactly what this is. You end up being penalized because you want to have fun, quote unquote.
Yeah, I'm going to be sitting there with Hierarchy Needs. That's on the list. Sitting in my little Starfire little bubble. That's on the list. And I'll be
It sucks.
that much better than you because I decided to follow the rules. The rules which restrict you from having fun and that you will complain about because you will notice a 3% drop in damage. You will notice a 3% drop in your DR. It's not a case of I do what I want to do. It's a case of if you want to do a GM at the hardest difficulty, you are going to follow this rule book. Because why are you not doing the extra 15% DR? Why do you not have the extra 10% damage? You are hindering yourself. And if you want to play casually, then the seasonal bonus doesn't even apply to you. What the fuck do you care? Just go off and do your own thing. I'm happy for you. But for people who are going to engage in the endgame content at the hardest forms, who are going to be doing helps, you will be doing this.
Mm-hmm.
You will be following this new rule book, and it sucks.
Yep.
All right. Well, on that note, we already talked about some of the ability changes here. Consecration getting hit. We saw the change to Gambler's Dodge, or we talked about the change to Gambler's Dodge. Yeah, man. There's just like there's so much coming that it's hard for me to wrap my head around.
Do you want me to try and skim through and pick out
all the change? No.
Well, I mean, part of it is the implementation, right? It's like people getting their hands on the new sandbox, seeing how everything kind of falls together, and then testing it and seeing how everything works. So I feel like it's just right now it's a lot of information, and I actually definitely super appreciate you being here, Reb, because you can kind of parse through and say, well, this might be interesting. This might be interesting. But I think for me, I'm like a hands-on. I'm like, I need to get in there. I need to play with the new stuff.
You need to taste the soup.
So I need to taste the soup.
Do you think it's a bisque?
Oh, God.
I don't know. Is a bisque wet?
I believe. Hold on.
God.
Let's put that to chat.
Motherfucker.
Chat.
This is not a comedy stand-up
bisque
routine, but you have to harken
wet?
back to the first joke.
It is probably a gazpacho. You're right. Anyways,
Gazpacho. It's too hot
Gazpacho.
for hot soup. Yeah, too hot for hot soup.
We'll go into questions then. Thanks to everybody who's given questions so far. We have 3 currently. Doomhammer asked earlier in the show, does it seem like Destiny is struggling to find its identity these days? Epic Dan, what are you
No.
I would argue this. Absolutely. Because it's trying to redefine its identity for a smaller audience.
Yeah.
Everything post Final Shape is definitely them with the new people at the head of the ship wanting to stamp their own mark on this game. And ever since Final Shape, they've tried new things. Now, obviously, some of this stuff probably was in the idea wheelhouse or something before Final Shape came out, but every season they've tried something unique or something new or something different. And especially with Edge of Fate, at least from my point of view, it's like if someone stopped playing, I don't know, around Lightfall, for example, and they were to come back for Edge of Fate, it is a totally different game.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Either positively or negatively. And if someone were to ask me like what kind of game is Destiny currently, that's a pretty tough, answer. Obviously the foundation is still the same, but the way we engage with the content is totally different. And it will be totally different. We just spent an hour and a half talking about all the changes in Edge of Fate. And it might be even more, different. We're having the new ultimate difficulty. We're having content that didn't have Grandmaster versions, now have Grandmaster versions. You have all this content that some people might have played or maybe didn't play, like Eseipha The Dans coming back and probably will be updated. If someone played during Lightfall and saw champions and they come back now, they'd be like, what the heck are Banes? It is a totally different game than it was a year and a half ago. And at least from my point of view, it's very clear that all these changes is them trying to, I don't want to say right the ship, but their philosophy on what they want the game to be is going to be drastically different.
Yeah.
And that has to fall in line with, an identity crisis. I don't think it is an identity crisis, but there's just different cooks in the kitchen. And they want to they want to change it. Maybe, when you are in the kitchen, you definitely want to, you maybe want to put an extra spice in there. Maybe I want to take a spice out. Maybe I want to add some clarified butter real quick,
So you've been watching The Bear this week. That's good.
Yes, I have. Can you tell? Yep.
Yeah, something. So I had people come into my chat today looking for help that hadn't played in like 5 years, and so
Oh my god.
the change to them is going to be drastic.
Insane.
Coming
Insane.
up.
Now, are they playing currently, or are they like, I'm gonna get back into it with Edge of Fate?
They're playing currently. Like one person I helped, they were they hadn't played for 2 years. But somebody else in chat was like, yeah, I haven't played in like 5 years. Like, what's going on?
5
Is
years
everything
is
like,
insane.
cool?
Yeah, 2 years is already rough. For 5 years, that's beyond lifetime.
Yeah.
So like,
Oh my god.
Lol, you're a kindergarten now.
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
nuts.
Crazy.
Welcome to boot camp.
Yeah. Welcome to boot camp.
Yeah, no, I had a person come in chat the other day saying I've not played since the season before, whatever season it was, when like Into Light. They stopped playing the season before that. And they just picked the game back up and they were like, what do I start? And I was like, bro, I don't know. I don't know what your game looks like versus mine.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
And whenever anyone asks, I've had a lot of people come back this season, and we all have,
Mhm.
and the only answer I can personally give them is try the new heresy stuff, just whatever the game tells you to do, which is a terrible thing, but like, you know, at least play the current seasonal stuff, because I cannot imagine, you know, being a lapsed player and then just getting like booting up the game and being like having all these screens flash of updates in the past 4 years and be like, okay,
Oh
well,
my god.
Sitting there for half an hour just hitting X.
Yeah.
Didn't even
on
think about
everything.
that.
Yeah.
Oh
wow,
my
dude.
god, that's insane.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that either. Rev, you had another point that you were gonna make.
So
Rev said no, so I'm curious to hear.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
said no, it's the
other side.
same.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So I disagree, because Destiny is the only game of its kind, and now it's trying to branch out. It is trying to put feelers out into where it could go. Like you said, like I think we both.
Well, it's
meet
been
at the
putting
same
fillers out
time.
for the past couple of years, though, if we're being honest.
Yeah,
They've been trying
So-
stuff in their seasonal stuff for years.
yeah. No, we're trying to like mechanics and all that sort of stuff. But I think Destiny has established itself as the only game in its genre which is it has no idea what the fuck it wants.
Mm.
So its
Like,
identity
Well,
is lack thereof,
genre
is what
it
you're
now?
saying.
Because like the genre is
Like,
dead, not including Destiny currently.
Like, it says it's a looter shooter. Mate, I get one gun, maybe some mittens at the end of a strike. The fuck you mean looter? He's got the shooter part, right? Absolutely. Unless you count right now, in which case we're in an ability meta. What the fuck? Like, we spoke about it earlier about what was fun in terms of grinding and everything,
Mm-hmm.
and it just needs to pull its finger out and just say fuck it and go in whatever direction they choose to go in, more than 5 meters
Mm-hmm.
before they go, oh shit, the community don't like it. Fuck them. I know
Well-
they pay you, but you're not going to make any headway if you keep putting your head in the damn sand.
I would
trying.
agree with that. I would agree with that if this were a different Bungie. Like if this was a Bungie of like post Beyond Light, 100% agree, right? And like I want to see them like stick to their guns and their choices too, but we're also looking at a Bungie that's purchased by Sony, had marathon things happen, and now it puts them on an entirely different footing, regardless of if it's Destiny or Marathon. Right? Like, I want to see that. I don't know how bold they want to be. If that makes sense.
I think you're absolutely right, Dan. I think that they're coming at this, they have to come at it from a cautious perspective. And which, for better or for worse, I think some of the best parts about Bungie and Destiny is when they throw shit against the wall and it sticks, right? And their ability to innovate and try new things. And so I think that is a little bit of a loss. So, but yeah, I think they are trying to kind of stick to the formula. I think they have to, based on all the stuff that went down with Marathon.
Oh yeah.
You know? But I personally, I feel like the game feels somewhat untethered right now. And I think it's because they haven't found like an emotional center to the game post the conclusion of the story.
Yeah.
And so for me, it feels like the same game in terms of gameplay, right? Like I'm,
Right.
you know, there's some cool stuff that they've added, and I'm still enjoying playing with my friends. I enjoy the gunplay, I enjoy the looting, I enjoy I'm enjoying the actual playing of the game, but I feel like we've lost an emotional center. I don't think the epilogue hit in the way that they wanted it to. I don't think like sort of like the villains have been interesting, and the story hasn't been bad. It's just I feel like and this is maybe kind of an unfair criticism, because when I started playing Destiny, you could argue that the story was somewhat unfocused.
Absolutely.
Like it absolutely for years and years it was unfocused, and we still loved it and we still played it, right? But I think the fact that the final shape, the conclusion was so satisfying. like it's hard to move on from that, at least from a story perspective. Like I think I really need and I think even when the story was kind of unfocused, you at least had characters, like ongoing characters that you were really invested in. That's what I'm most excited. I think that's what, for me, it's not just what is Destiny, right? Because that's, of course, it's a lot of different things.
Right.
In terms of genre, it's more so like, who do we care about in this game? Like, like we lost Cade, like we lost, like who is the emotional center of the story moving forward? And I really am excited for new characters and for kind of like getting excited about that. Like the story doesn't have to be excellent. I just need to care about
what's going on the screen.
Going on. Yeah, because so I'm watching Murderbot, which is excellent.
Okay.
Love it so much. It is on Apple Plus, and it's basically this this robot that is defending. Its job is to defend colonists, and it's a sci-fi. It's a sci-fi kind of show, right? And like this robot has figured out how to hack itself. So like all of the robots have basically software that prevents them from harming humans. They have to like follow out their every command. So this robot figures out how to dismantle that. And so he's kind of like independent robot, don't need no human commands, right? That's kind of like the summary of the show. But there's this wonderful character in it who is like kind of like the leader of this expedition that he goes along with. And she's vulnerable and she's empathetic and she's absolutely lovely. And I'm just waiting for them to kill her off. Right? Because it's always the good ones, right? They always kill off the characters you like the most, right?
Right.
To create story impact, to create like motivation, right? But for me, that's why I'm loving the show. I'm loving it because it's violent, it's funny, it's interesting, it feels fresh. But I also love it because of this one character, because she is absolutely like grounding, and I'm feeling very attached to her, So I need that in Destiny. Like I need like fresh, funny, impactful, but I also need like an emotional tether,
Well, I mean,
I don't know.
So I've joked about this for a long time. Like they killed Mickey Mouse and they brought him back. And like, like they put him back in the game, right? So Cade was our Mickey Mouse. It was like the star character for a long time. I still think it was a mistake to name anything the final anything, and really be like, this is the end of an era. It's like this is the final shape. It's like that's tough, because like getting people back on that merry-go-round when they're like, you know what, this is a good place to hop off. Like that's that's tough.
Yep.
You may disembark here.
Yes, exactly. I don't know. Like, Destiny is in transition. I want to see how bold they are with that transition with Edge of Fate.
I hope they have the space to do so, given the current environment. Even though, of course, like all of the stuff happening with Marathon, like that happened. Like these, like they're planning like a year in advance. So the content they're pushing out, none of this had happened when the the Edge of Fate stuff is probably like basically all done. So like it's probably not going to affect content moving forward for the next 6 months, maybe even a year. Yeah. But I do hope that it leaves some space for innovation, because I think that at the end of the day, the community complains a lot. We complain a lot. I complain a lot, but I especially as a content creator, I want this game to succeed. This is my favorite game of all time. Like I want this game to succeed. I want the Bungie to succeed as a studio. I'm really rooting for them. But it does feel untethered right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. The next question from Cryo Phoenix is, if Edge of Fate is considered a year where Bungie rebuilds Destiny's foundation, will you be willing to take a decrease in content throughout this year to allow Bungie time and resources to do so?
Haven't we already done that?
I'm already doing it.
I've suffered enough already.
No, but I'm so sorry. But like, it kind of feels like it. Like
I've asked the question for a while how the community would feel if they like went pseudo dark for a while, with the understanding that like they told us ahead of time, but like when we come back up, we're gonna make sure we have X, Y, and Z.
I'm down for that. Because it already feels like we haven't gotten as much, maybe not as much, but not the same type or not the same quote unquote level of quality of content that we used to have way back in the day, nostalgia time. But anyway, I'm down for it. Go do it. Go ahead. Just warn us, let us know, and then come back. But make sure that when you come back hitting, like
Yeah.
swinging.
But Doomhammer has a really good point here in chat, and says if they go dark and don't emerge with the Destiny 3, then what was the point of even going dark?
Anthem. And it's not me. Anthem went dark, and they came back out with a refreshed.
But where's
Prelude.
Anthem now?
Yeah, but that's EA.
That was that was another whole thing.
Anthem died thanks to EA. I'm giving you an example when a game went dark and came back better than ever, and people were very fond of the fact that when it did come back, it was a good game. It was sucked that EA decided to pull the plug like they have done so on thousands of other games because it didn't fill their pockets right then and there.
Yeah.
That's a different conversation. All right, but the fact that Anthem did go dark and then they came back out with a spruced up game, yes, Anthem is an example of that. Final Fantasy 14 as well. All right, but I don't play that. That's a shit game. Smile.
Wow.
So now,
wow.
But to go dark and to spruce up your game and come back without putting another number on the side of it is perfectly acceptable. Even yourself, you've undermined your own question with the example you gave. So yeah, there is a point to coming back to it as still Destiny 2. I'd rather they do Destiny 3, but if they go dark and come back as Destiny
if it's D3, that's a much longer going dark that they can't afford to do, unfortunately.
Yeah. No,
what
game do they have? What game do they have without Destiny?
They can't do
now?
that. Mm-hmm.
Halo 3 Remastered for real edition.
No, they'll never do that.
Well, no, they can't do that either.
They can't. They haven't got the rights anymore.
I feel like it's more plausible to see them go low content than go dark.
Yeah.
Because especially since their whole brand and identity is around live service.
Mm-hmm.
But I think if Marathon were to be massively successful, then I could see it as more plausible. But since that's not looking likely, I don't think they have the space to do it, to go dark. I think I wonder
if that was their expectation. Maybe that's why Edge of Fate was
that would have been fine.
A bit lower in the content.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm absolutely with beverages. Like I have plenty of games that I like to play now. You know, I play 4 or 5 different games every single week and stream about the same number. And it's good for us as content creators to branch out and not have all of our eggs.
Bungie, unfortunately.
You know, it's not. But like, so I'm totally fine if the content like goes lower. You know, I think it's it's always been an unreasonable expectation for a studio to produce content that's going to make people play 40 hours a week every week. I think that's unreasonable, but pragmatically, I don't see them going dark. Low content, maybe.
Yeah.
What do we define low content then?
I would say, I mean, I think you could even make the argument that their current release schedule is lower content than they were putting out before.
Yeah, but at the same time, like, I'm expecting less. Like,
I am too.
If they're saying like Rise of Iron levels, I'm expecting like a Rise of Iron thing, because even with the episodes, even with the seasonal model, like we still got a lot to do. Was all of it good? Not necessarily. Like, but it was like stuff that was just handed out to you.
The thing about Rise of Iron, what people probably don't remember, was back then the Rise of Iron light level grind was still pretty bad. which extended
Yes.
its life cycle longer
Yes.
than
Yeah.
this time it was. This
Yep.
is before the 1-to-1 infusion. That's
Mhm.
back
Yeah.
when you would have a 70% infusion, which people probably don't even. It was like, what's a 70%
Oh, yeah.
You're
infusion?
like,
Oh
what
my
You
God.
would
even
take
is
one
this?
thing.
I-
You would
Did you
have
find
a
this out
light
from
level,
the guy who
yeah.
came back who was gone for 5 years?
No,
You would take a one light level item and then infuse it into another, and it would only go up
Only
to
do
70% of what
70%.
that.
I
It's like
remember
a totally
that.
different thing.
You just
So when
unlocked
Rise
the
of Iron
trauma
came out, they
for me.
instantly changed it to
Oh
one.
God.
But unfortunately, there wasn't enough stuff to do week over week for that grind to be a lot shorter. Even with them allowing it from going from from taking Kings 70% to the first time being 1-to-1, we still didn't have a lot of stuff to do. So the grind was still super long throughout the course of 6 months.
Mhm.
But even then, right after, or a little bit after, like 5 months, is when they gave us Age of Triumphs,
Right.
which was the first time we had like the whole book and all that stuff.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
So like I feel like people overestimate how little content Rise of Iron had. It didn't have a lot of content,
Yeah.
but because in order to do a lot of the really hard stuff like Wrath of Machine 390, you had to play an unfortunately insane amount to do all the Archon Forge stuff to get like your 320 Ghost and all that stuff. Like a lot of that stuff was really, really tough back then because of how many sources we had to do all the stuff. So it's unfortunate that if it is Rise of Iron amount, I guess, or whatever you want to call
Mhm.
it, that we might go through the content even quicker, which is going to be unfortunately not that good for them.
Yeah.
Yep, July to
Mhm.
September.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like, yeah, we'll see. I will see. I mean, we don't.
Yeah. We don't.
We got a
don't
couple
know.
weeks of dev streams coming up, so hopefully they'll feature some
The Twit's
some more
gonna
interesting stuff to
ruin this
people to
entire
do.
podcast today. Watch.
You know what?
Yeah.
I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it. If
I'm
it,
also
Yeah,
fine with
prove
that.
us wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm down. Just show us some good stuff.
Yeah.
We're getting 14 raids in August.
14 raids. Maybe not that. Maybe not that.
Mate, I want to
Yeah.
retire. I don't want to do 14-day one.
Oh my
I do.
god.
Eddie.
Okay, Mister, I'm doing Duo Witness tomorrow, Rev. I want to retire.
Eddie asks, any thoughts on the new aspects being added to Prismatic? Or no new aspects being added to Prismatic? I want to see more. I want to see
that.
more aspects being brought in. But
I'm fine
fine
with
with
it as
it.
well. No, it would be nice, but I think Stasis and Strand need more supers, and what was it? Solar Hunter, Solar Titan, and Void Warlock. I think they all need a fourth aspect as well.
Yeah, we did talk about this when Scare was on. We had the same conversation. But we also came to the same conclusion that like Prismatic is fine where it is, and if they were to
Yeah.
add more stuff to Prismatic, then there's no reason to use pure subclasses. And also Stasis and Strand needs some more improvements before they even focus on Prismatic again.
Yeah, like if for example, if they put Shattered Eye on Prismatic, I'm never going on Stasis Hunter again. I've got no need to do that.
Hey, if Prismatic Warlock gets Icarus Stash, I'm out of
Same
there.
thing, yeah,
man.
You're never
Bye.
swapping. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
you need
that's
well?
fair.
No, you'll live. You've got
Yeah.
friends.
There's
You'll
someone
be
else
alright.
as well.
Just run healing grenades yourself and
Mhm.
endure.
yeah.
Enjoy the
You'll be
extra
fine.
2% DR.
Yeah, I'll be in Song of Flame. Don't worry about it. You'll be fine.
Yep.
But yeah, if they do add more stuff to Prismatic, you're gonna find those very nuanced builds in your mono subclasses. They're
Mhm.
gone. Like right now, it's a bit difficult on Hunter to justify going over to say Arc or Void
Right.
when the main reason you go to Arc is for jolt spam. Well, have you heard of Ascension? I mean, spam that faster than any grenade cooldown.
Yeah.
On Void, I want to go Invis? Not a problem. Stars Executioner works with any debuff on Prismatic. It is better than its Void counterpart. That's ridiculous. And I can still run Falcon. Oh shit! Oh, and I can have Star Eater at the same time. Say less. And it doesn't need to be Tether. I'm down. So they need to be if they do want to add anything to Prismatic, whether it's exotics into the class items or aspects let alone aspects, grenades and melees, and maybe even extension supers as well. They need to be really careful about how they do it because that will probably lock out some mono classes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Cryo in chat makes a good point about Prismatic being kind of like a baseline. Prismatic is basically, I feel like it's like the best most of the time. But I ate my words this season about Arc Titan. I did not think I would choose to use it.
Oh, I did
and
too. Yeah.
It was absolutely excellent, and it was excellent not just because they buffed the subclass itself, the arc subclasses themselves, but also because they enhanced it with the artifact. And so it ended up being specialized but also incredibly strong. And I love that. I think that's great, and I think that's a great model moving forward, like Prismatic kind of, excellent across the board, but you have specific use case where subclasses are better, and that rotates based on the way they like push forward subclasses with changes to the subclasses, but then also the artifact for the season. And I think that's that I was wrong. I was absolutely wrong about
I said it was going to be
this
bad.
season. I said it was going to be bad too, and I was wrong. I eat my words. Delicious, nom nom nom.
We're not going to sit behind the barricade. Nah, we're not going to shit lightning. Turns out the lightning is literally full fucking diarrhea, and then the barricade gives 80% DR to anything at splash damage. Newsflash: a lot of shit is splash damage.
Right. So, but I feel like that's. I guess we don't know what it's going to be like moving forward, but obviously
Balance.
This is. Right, and I like that it's unbalanced though. I like that it's. I feel like I feel like Destiny or games for me are at their best when they're unbalanced, but that lack of balance isn't persistent. That it rotates because it means that I'm going to try something new and I'm going to really enjoy it. And then I'm going to try something else new and I'm going to really enjoy it. Like I love that. I think that's keeps things fresh and interesting and fun. So thank you for Arc Titan this season. That was fantastic.
That's fair.
And Arc Warlock, because I remember
Arc Warlock too.
Saying, that Sentry? Come on, man.
Yeah.
Please.
So I agree, Tiddly, but as somebody who's going to be in the most meta class going into the Edge of Fate, I don't want to do 4,000 damage on a grapple melee. And Arc Titan was borderline the nail out of the board sort of scenario. Flashover is the reason why it's potent. You'll still be able to do all the fun stuff next season. You won't get your healing unless you have Alpha Lupi.
Right.
You can still shit lightning as much as you want.
Right.
Behind your Storm's Keep, but it just won't be as potent. You'll still do damage. It will still be the Arc version of the ignition, but Flashover is the reason why it felt so good. I bet you, if you actually did a GM with that off, you are going to feel it. And that sort of balance is fine. I don't mind.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't mind that, but I don't want outliers. I like being powerful. I don't want to be God. That's not fun.
I want to be God, but seasonally.
Nerf Song of Flame. Nerf
Isn't that Santa Claus?
I want seasonal God is good by me.
I think that's Santa Claus.
Oh, sure, Easter Bunny.
I think that's Santa Claus, Easter Bunny, seasonal God.
Yeah, I feel like the power fantasy is definitely a draw for me for whatever is strongest. But and man, Arc was definitely a power fantasy though. They did that very, very well.
Yeah,
I'm okay if it's less good next season. I'm absolutely fine if it's less good next season. It will be, but
it's still going to be good.
It's still going to be good. Yeah,
but it's 3 damage effectively. Like you just get 6 people behind the barricade. They're all going to be casting bolt charge off cooldown. That's it's a free little bit of burst damage. So yeah, like you're still going to be using it. You're just not going to be deleting things in front of you because Lamau 2.5x.
So Jagmaster asked what are 3 things that you guys feel Edge of Fate needs? And we could probably do that one like rapid succession, like 3 things to you that Edge of Fate needs to we'll say to be successful.
Cohesive story. That's what I got.
Okay.
I want to take them all.
I'd say like banger marketing. I think they need to lure people back to the fold and have good. And I guess my third one would be good content to keep them there.
Yeah.
So, but feel free that we can have more than 3, I guess.
A fun activity loop.
Well,
I think
sorry, Dan.
Go for it.
So I've got 3 of myself. Direction, a clear direction. The removal of the seasonal McGuff. Get that shit out of here.
No more tonics.
No more tonics.
No,
No, you're
not
gonna
that.
have one of those.
Not the tonics. Like if you want to do quirky little things when you get your buffs, cool. Whatever. Like experiment with that. Get the seasonal bonuses out of here.
Mm.
Get that 15% out. Get that 10% out permanently. It's not needed in Destiny. We don't need more DR. We don't need more damage. We're already putting.
But that's something you're saying they need for it to succeed for the DLC.
Yeah, remove it. Yeah, remove it because it's.
I don't know if that affects it enough for it to succeed or not.
It will. To me,
it's a good thing for them to change, but like,
it will remove
for the majority of the community. You think?
Yeah, because it's going to remove people's antagonistic behavior towards the system when they want to use CQs, when they want to use Sunshot, because it interacts with the solar themed artifact, but they can't because in the GM they want to do. It's not 2-tap in the drag they need to kill. It's a 3-tap, and that means the drag can probably get a kill in. Like it's the micro things which are going to make this expansion succeed, in my opinion. And removing that is one of them. I don't care about the XP. Like you'll be done in like a week if you're like 2 weeks if you're a hardcore player. That's a non-issue. Just it shouldn't really affect the day 1 raid, but it probably will. But who gives a fuck? But that seasonal thing, get that shit out of here. It's not needed. Destiny is not an ARPG.
Mm-hmm.
Why do I need to be soft sunsetting myself every time? Every 6 weeks?
They're moving into an ARPG, buddy. You better get used to it. That's what they want.
That's fine. In which case, I want to create a new hunter every 6 months. I want to start fresh. I want a list of all my hunters.
Maybe that's Renegade.
Like that's what an ARPG is. If they want to go full ARPG, cool. I want to see the list of my previous characters and the builds they have with a separate role, separate loot, all that sort of stuff, separated from the base game. That is an ARPG, not the soft sunsetting malarkey. Either dip your toe in or don't. And given how Destiny has been, it doesn't need to be. It doesn't need the system of you need to use XYZ to get this benefit. Why? Because we said so. Why? I want to use this fun thing you've also buffed. No, it's not allowed. It's not part of. It's not part of the list. What the fuck? Right. If Destiny wants to go down the RPG route, cool.
Mm-hmm.
Head first. Arse over tit into it. I don't care. Like, all in. Don't make a soft version of it that doesn't need to be there. The roguelike activities, they're cool. I like those. That was a good example of them dipping their toe into a different genre whilst remaining within their space.
Mm-hmm.
But this soft sunsetting every 6 weeks, fuck off. Nah. I'm going to take advantage of the system because I'm most likely going to be doing the activities that require that 15% DR, that 10% damage. And I'm going to hate it. Just like I hate crafting. I fucking hate crafting. Get rid of that shit. Actually, there you go.
So-
Third thing. Remove crafting.
Remove
Fuck
crafting.
that noise.
I'm going to add one more thing here, and then we'll move on to the last question of the night. They need to add Balatro into Destiny.
Right, you're done.
There you
You're out.
go.
Is
I'm pre-ordering
Balatro
right
wet?
now.
That's how
There you
you.
go. Finally.
That's how you do it. That's how you get it to be successful. I mean, that thing was nominated for a. That thing was nominated for the Game of the Year last year.
Game of the
'Cause
year,
they had
man.
Balatro in there.
games, in-game mini games, Dan.
Yeah, man.
Uh-huh.
Give me
Bring
Balatro.
Yep.
back fishing.
Yep.
I'll tell you what game has fishing that's coming out in September 12th. It's called
Borderlands 4.
Oh.
It has fishing. I'm not even kidding. There's actually a legendary tied to fishing.
Yeah.
It's the only way to get it.
That game just looks more and more fun every time I look at it.
Oh man, I can't wait.
It's gonna be.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Oh man.
Popocopium, last question of the night. Thoughts on the game going from what's in their opinion a well-rounded build system to an all-or-nothing build system? Will it create diversity or stagnate player builds?
Given how Destiny's system is incredibly easy to read, and everybody knows the stats and percentages of what's being or what they're applying, yeah, if you don't have your head around crafting now, you're fucked. Because now you have an extra component of your armor bonus,
Mm-hmm.
your armor system, whatever the fuck you want to call it. I forgot what the name is. But you now have that as an extra little bit on top of what you could potentially be doing. So yeah, if you struggle with build crafting now and you're trying your hand at it before anything else, keep trying. All right, you'll make a build. Trust.
Mm-hmm.
All right. But secondly, like, good luck. But I'll try not to treat people I'll try not to treat people as stupid. First mistake of the internet. When I make my builds and I post them on Twitter because all in my dim links I put all the notes of whatever you need and how it all flows. I write it out for you. All you gotta do is just copy and go. Right. There's now more. There's gonna be more components. Like one of the things they what do you call it? One of the set bonuses is Wrecker. You do significantly increased kinetic damage to overshields, combatant shields, and constructs. Have you heard of Hake Breach armaments, which also deal damage to constructs? You will be able to stack that, a weapon bonus, with an armor set bonus. This is what they want you to do. But now you can get into the really niche options to you. If you really like using your Hake auto rifle that does kinetic damage, you are going to want a tech set. A two-piece tech set to get that bonus. Now you're double dipping. So, yeah. Good luck.
All right. Anybody else have anything to add to that before we call it a night?
No, chef.
No,
Bring back
chef.
more Montrose.
I'm good, chef.
I read the reviews. They're closing the restaurant.
Yippee.
No season 5.
All right. Well then, let's break out of here. Let's go around the table for plugs. Rev, since you are our guest tonight, why don't you tell people where they can find you on the internet, sir?
Good luck. No, I've got socials. No, so yeah, I'm on Blue Sky. What's my handle on that? Yeah, it's RevD2. And then on Twitter, it's D2Rev. Finger guns. I stream. People say I stream. These people lie. Fuck them, I guess. Especially Tiddly.
What?
She got me into it.
Don't bring me
Talking
into
about,
this.
I'm talking about you, not to you.
I heard.
Yeah, you were meant to. uh, so yeah, I really don't care if you follow me or not. I'm gonna be real. I don't give a shit.
Fair enough. Well, thanks for coming on tonight, man.
Hello.
Rev, I don't care.
I don't care.
Epic Dan, where can they find you on the internet, sir?
You can find me on Twitch at EpicDan22, on YouTube at EpicDan22, on Twitter, the Blue Sky, the Instagram, the TikTok, all at EpicDan22, making some sort of content on those every day.
Heck yeah. Eseipha, what about you, friend? Eseipha's gone. Is Eseipha gone?
Oh, I muted myself. I'm so sorry.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Coughing, and I was like, okay, I'm not gonna do that while live. You can find me on Blue Sky, pretty much. Same handle, and that's pretty much the only social media that I actually interact with. I have Instagram and other stuff, but they're mainly for my own enjoyment. So
Right.
there's really nothing. I don't post anything there. I just enjoy the content produced, and then Blue Sky is where I post, interact with people.
All right, Tiddly, what about you, friend?
I am on Twitch, twitch.tv/Tiddly, Monday through Friday, 9:00 Central or so. And then Blue Sky, you can find me there. I'm Tiddly on Blue Sky.
Heck yeah.
Heck yeah.
My name's Danfinity. You can find, well, I guess that's Ron Burgundy.
Welco.
Welco, everyone. My name's Danfinity. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram and all that other stuff. Danfinity GG. You can find but just go to my website, danfinity.gg,
There you
and
go.
just go there. Just go to that place that has everything. It's got all of it. I'll see if you're going to GCX. I'll see you down there. I think Epic Dan's going.
I'll be there.
Yeah,
Take pictures.
we will.
please.
I'll
We
be
will.
IRL streaming all weekend. So
Oh, my Lord.
Oh,
I
dude.
wish I could go.
I'm working on setting up my server now so I can just be live 24/7.
Oh, hell yeah.
That'd be fun.
24/7. Damn.
I get to watch you sleep.
No, they'll be playing
Fuck.
World of Odds while I'm asleep. I'm not that person.
Don't make it creepy, Rep. What? Poor Dan.
I got a really cool toy that I'll show you here in a bit.
He's got a toy.
Dan.
Hey.
Off stream, guys.
Oh,
Off stream.
my. Okay.
Um, But no, I think
You need to work on your segues, though, Dan.
we might. No, that one was perfect. That one was perfect. There, I do want to do like some sort of meetup with folks if they're if there are folks who listen to the podcast that go to GCX this year. I think we might try something one of those nights to like bring everybody together. So watch out for details on that. Outside of that, that's all the news fit to print. That's all of us. Thank you so much for listening to episode 105 of the Destiny Digest podcast, and I hope you find what you're grinding for.